Behold, it is I, your Lord, creator of the universe, master of all things, the God of your religion, the one that you believe. And yes, I'm talking to you specifically. So believe it when I say you need to do a few things. First, stop worrying about other people's genitals. Second, eat less saturated fat. This is your God, by the way. All the faithful. This is you. If you have a God, it's you. I'm speaking just to you, not anyone else. So pay attention. Amendment 3. You should be nicer to animals and litter less. That's the same amendment. Was that 3 or 4? Amendment 4. Commandment 4. You should listen to cooler music, because what you listen to is fucking lame. And finally, you need to give us money. Sign up for the Delete Everything Patreon premium membership. Them, not us. I'm God. And that send an email asking for our P.O. box, their P.O. box number, and where you can send certified checks, or else you'll go to hell. That was for you. And now back to our regular scheduled programming. Beanie Vagini! We're so funny. That's how it's been this whole time. Okay, that was the intro.
Welcome back, everybody, to Delete Everything Podcast. If you would all please get in a single file line as you approach the altar, please remove your robes of ignorance and partake in the Kool-Aid of knowledge. As you feel yourself ascend to the heavens, bask in the knowledge that things once forgotten shall be remembered, things once unknown shall be known, and things once omitted shall be remitted.
No, remitted still means taken away.
Remitted.
And they just mitted.
Be mitted. They shall be mitted. I am your supreme High Chancellor, Patrick Wall, and with me, as always, rationing out the Adidas tracksuits and cyanide pills, the Archbishop of Ritual Death,
Riley Bowen.
Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Archbishop
Can you hear the enthusiasm?
of Ritual Death?
Archbishop of Ritual Death is a t-shirt.
I so frequently make Riley a submissive knee bender to whatever I am on this, and
submissive little slave.
And so when I was writing this one out, I was like, I'm going to give him a good one. So
yeah, I like that.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed your Easter, and we certainly hope our last episode didn't ruin any of your planned festivities.
Easter, barely know her.
We want to start off, as always, thanking those of you who took the time to leave reviews and ratings and comments. And we sure would appreciate if you did, like if more of you would do that. It seems like a silly request, but it means a lot to us on the business side. So if you haven't yet, please hop on and do that on whatever platform you are listening on.
Yeah, and it's like particularly important because we've been kicking ass lately. Like our viewership is up. Like things are going really smoothly. Yeah. Our quality's obviously getting like super high because of producer Drew.
Uh-huh.
And it's all because of the engagement that we've gotten from the people listening. And
absolutely.
It is super tantalizing to us because it's just fucking fun and we're seeing like this start to be successful.
The fruits of our labor.
Yes, the fruits of our labor grow ripe on the vine.
Mm-hmm.
Ripe for the vineyard.
So yes, whatever
Vintage,
platform Whatever platform you're on, if it allows you to leave us a review, please do that. Ratings, comments, whatever, like I said. Speaking of platforms.
I am wearing them right now. Disco's back, baby.
Oh, is that why you're so tall today? Delete Everything YouTube is live.
Ayo.
Yeah, all the episodes are now available there, as well as a little bit of video content. We have more being planned, so check that out. We also have Instagram where you can log on right now and see some of the stuff that we talk about in this episode and any past episodes. And give us a follow while you're there. And finally, as always, our Patreon, where you can hear bonus episodes every week of us.
Boners. We're calling them boners episodes.
Of us cutting. You are calling them boners episodes.
Yeah, because that's great. That fits our brand.
Yeah, it's really, really cutting loose on Patreon every week.
We're actually doing a poll on Patreon right now about whether or not we should call them boners episodes or bonus episodes.
We are not doing that, but
boners are winning. Everything's coming up boners
every week, baby. I think actually I'm going to release a Patreon.
The boners have it,
and the boners always will. I think I'm going to release a Patreon as a bonus as a boner.
Yeah.
on our main feed, either this Thursday or next. We'll see. It's my birthday.
Which one?
My birthday present.
Which one are we doing?
I don't know. It's my birthday present.
All right,
I'm
cool.
still thinking about it, so don't fucking rush me.
All right, whatever. Happy birthday. Jesus.
That will correlate with next week's episode.
When's your birthday?
The 28th.
Oh.
This episode's dropping on the 21st.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this on the day that it drops, my birthday's a week away. So as a birthday present, leave us a review, a comment, and a rating. Okay, so this week, as a consolation prize to any of you who listened to us really call out the Bible and fundamentalist Christianity last week, we're going to crap all over some smaller, lesser-known, equally weird religions on this episode, right?
Right. I didn't know you were addressing me with a question.
I was asking our listeners. I want them to scream loud enough that I can hear them.
No!
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, yeah, these are weird too. So is don't think for a second that because your religion is mainstream, it's any less strange. You just have the luxury of not having to think a lot about the weirdness because it's mainstream enough to be,
I think that's
ubiquitous in society.
That's very much the thing. Actually, so we're going to split this one up, right?
We are.
We're going to do 4 topics. I'll do one, he'll do one, I'll do one, he'll do one.
Right.
And my first one actually has a lot to do with that exact perception. So,
right.
Am I good to go? Are you
yeah.
still?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Yeah, like I said, just because your religion is ubiquitous doesn't mean it's any less weird. So believe how you want to believe and whatever you choose to believe. That's fine. It just gets weird when you add a governing body that shames you into acquiescing to their ideas of how you should, how to do it right, and insisting that you do these weird ceremonies and rites and shit. Yeah, that's when I get off the fucking train. I don't know. Religion and faith are pretty deeply personal things that I think each person sort of experiences differently, and so don't add a governing body to it. You don't need a community.
Yeah,
you don't need community rules
because there's no God. It's nonsense. It's all absurd.
Right.
It's the silly little fantasy dance that everybody does. Oh, you gotta respect my religion. You gotta respect.
Yeah.
No, none of it is real. You're insane. You're all insane.
So I agree, but you don't have to agree. So that's the beauty of this whole thing. Anyway, as Riley mentioned, we're going to do a little something different here. We've only done this once before, right?
Yeah, it's a Boring Man Crazy Life. Yeah.
Boring. No, pseudoscience. Pseudoscience we did.
Oh, we did the back and forth, back and forth.
We did do that for
Well, Boring Man Crazy Life,
too.
I did all 3 sections, but it was bisected like that.
Yes.
I think we can make this one a little more casual of that because we were doing some high-end experimentation with the sections.
Yeah, for pseudoscience you did some and I did some. And so we did that again this week. So we split up topics. He did half, I did the other half. We only did that like I said on pseudoscience, and I'm honestly glad that we did this because we've been on this crunched timeline to get back on schedule after Riley's little workcation. So
yeah, which is fun because we've been doing double duty. We've
been doing double episodes. We've been doing 5 days. So the last time we recorded, 7 days ago. It was last Wednesday. Yeah, we were gonna schedule this, or we were gonna record this on Monday, and it was like we had recorded Wednesday, and then I worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all like 10 to 12 hour shifts, and I was like, I have nothing done.
The first time,
and I didn't sleep for shit in between.
The first time in the history of the podcast, Patrick like called out. He's like, guys, I can't. I
didn't even really. I was just letting you guys know. Like I texted on Monday morning, and I was like, I think I'm like at the end of my rope as far as like how far I can stretch myself with no sleep.
And Drew and I both were like, dude, just go to fucking bed. All right, you've slept 2 hours this week.
And Riley was like, do we need to push? And I was like, no, I can just show up. I'll make it. And Riley's like, we're doing 2 full episodes today. That's gonna suck. And I was like, no, I'm all right.
So we're doing it today, and it actually worked out great because I also have been fucking super under the gun. I went on a work trip when I got back. 3 weeks worth of like work at my home office was waiting for me. So I've also been like double duty at work, double duty on the podcast.
Jesus,
if I wasn't on methamphetamines, then
hell yeah,
then I'd never be able to do it.
You're not even sharing?
No, you can't have any of my meth. You can't have any of my meth.
Fine. Well, now I'm not sharing my PCP then. So this is the last week of us having to sort of like this super crunch timeline and trying to get everything caught up. Because as of the end of our recordings today, multiple recordings today, we'll be back on track. So
and today this is what episode 40.
Yeah.
Bum bum bum.
Yeah, it is. Hell yeah. So either way, let's get into it. You're gonna start off, aren't you?
Yeah. Did we talk about our topic yet? You read the fucking description when you clicked on the thing. You know what it is.
I said we're doing weird religions.
Yeah, weird religions.
To make up for bashing Christianity last week.
I went back and forth a little bit on what I was going to research here because we had a bunch of different options.
Yes.
Yeah, and
this will be an anthology. There will be multiple.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like our cryptids or Weird Man Boring Life or Weird Crazy Guy with the Life
or British Monarchy.
Yeah.
Because we have a second inconsequential president
history
coming up.
flows like a river and comes like a horse.
Wowzers.
But I went back and forth a little bit on what I was going to research.
One of the things history and I
for this for this particular segment. We started out, I was going to talk about Aleister Crowley and his influence on the occult, but I decided to go more with just the occult angle. So I want to talk about the fusion of science and the occult that's happened since the 1800s.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it was pretty good because as opposed to being religious itself, it is the antithesis of the religion, which connotates it kind of has to be religious. Does that make sense? Nope. If you're going to worship Satan, there has to be, as Quentin Tarantino wrote in the magnificent film From Dusk Till Dawn, if there's a hell, there has got to be a heaven.
Yeah.
But a couple of things didn't really meet the criteria about science and the occult.
George Clooney quote from that, right?
Yeah, it was written by Tarantino, but yeah.
Right. But that was George Clooney talking to...
Yeah, it was Clooney doing Tarantino, which was really good. Like, he had a great Tarantino voice.
It was talking to, what's his name?
Harvey Keitel.
Harvey Keitel, when Harvey Keitel's like...
I abridged it. I said, if there's a hell, then there has to be a heaven. Jacob, because he was talking to Harvey Keitel's character, Jacob, who's a fallen priest.
Who's, losing his religion.
A mean motherfucking servant of God. Great movie. Selma Hayek so hot. So, okay, a couple of things didn't really meet the criteria for religion in this topic, but really the topic of the occult doesn't exactly fit into religion because traditionally the cult is a response to predominantly Middle Eastern monotheistic texts like the New Testament or the Bible or the Torah, to a lesser extent, the Quran.
all those that we talked about last week.
The occult is defined as supernatural, mystical, or magical beliefs, practices, or phenomena. Like a secret study to study alchemy and the occult, because it's just like a blanket term. So the blanket definition, it can include things like Santeria, voodoo, I know karate, voodoo too. Anybody? Tom Waits going out west? Okay.
Nope.
I know karate. Voodoo too.
Doing Tom Waits.
I look good without a shirt. Yeah.
God damn it.
But practitioners of like voodoo and Santeria, they don't think of them as a cult. They just see them as religious practices. Like voodoo doesn't traditionally care about Eastern religion.
Right.
You know, a cult could also be thought of in terms of like good and evil conflict in religion. God versus the devil, light versus dark, Zeus and Hades. You know, the occult is like the darker force, the dark side of the force.
Okay.
You know? But it's easy to discern that they're only a cult because they're creepy. Creepy crawly means a cult. That's like legitimately like the best definition you're gonna get is supernatural and mystical. But that can describe all fucking religious shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, with a cult, you want it's just icky. Icky, sticky spider webs. Meh.
So like, you know, let's say voodoo, whatever.
Voodoo.
That would fall under
Hoodoo. Hoodoo?
you do.
Do what?
Remind me of the Babe.
What, babe?
I saw my baby crying hard as babe could cry. What could I do?
Where was your thought just now when I interrupted that?
So voodoo, for example, you know, you go, oh, well, that's weird, culty, you know, blah, 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 whatever. Like, they sacrifice goats and shit. And it's like, you ever read the Bible?
Yeah, they're all about that shit.
There's a lot of sacrificing of a lot of things.
Catholicism practices a communal blood ritual,
Yeah.
but it's not considered a cult, right? Like Judaism practices ritualistic genital mutilation. That's not thought of as a cult, but the Church of Satan, bang, like a cult. But mind you, the Church of Satan promotes equality, individualism, feminism, and education, and has zero blood rituals. They do, however, use more like blacks and reds in their designs, and they got a lot of like candles
The
with
Church of
skulls on
Satan
them.
is also more of just like a way to troll these other, you know,
No.
big.
You're getting that wrong.
No?
That's the Satanic Temple, which is a different organization. Satanic Temple is a political activist organization that is, again, specifically to troll like
Right.
Christian organizations. Those are the guys who like
The Church of Satan is really like,
the Church of Satan is a church. It's a church of
Hail
fucking Satan. Hail
Satan.
Satan. Yeah. It's the antithesis to like Christian theology. Yeah. They really do promote like, you know, a monotheism of sorts, but they worship the devil Lucifer,
okay.
right? Creepy crawly.
I didn't realize that they legitimately worshipped Satan.
Well, yeah, the Church of Satan does, and that is a recognized church. It's recognized by the American government as a
Right.
church. There are multiple different locations, temples. There's satanic
Well,
temples
sure, yeah,
all
I mean,
over the place.
The whole First Amendment, you can start
Yeah,
a church
or
to
churches.
whatever.
There are churches to Satan all over the place, and all over the world even. But the Satanic Temple was organized specifically to fuck with the squares, using like satanic panic. It's
Right.
It's a very like so yeah, like at the Utah government building, the Capitol at the
Was
Capitol.
that Utah? I thought that was like
That was the Utah
Alabama
Capitol,
or Arkansas or something like that.
something like that. I can't recall that
Where they did the
directly.
statue because
Well, yeah, because somebody
of the
they
courthouse they
courthouse, they
raised
put-
the money to put the Ten Commandments.
exactly. So the Satanic Temple got a big statue of Baphomet.
They said if you can put that on public property, then we can put this, because
Which is
the First Amendment,
which is true. Yeah, that's their thing. That's what they do. They use that as a leveling field for political insights.
Right. Okay.
Right. Whereas the other ones, they just really like killing goats.
Do they actually kill
No, they
goats?
don't. They don't do any blood sacrifices.
Oh, yeah, you
They're-
just said that.
The Church of Satan predominantly is like an equality and promotion area where people like they'll do fucking crafts and activities and shit. It's like any church, honestly, except they all dress like they listen to Mudvayne.
Oh,
Yeah.
gross.
So by the metric of the creepy crawly, science is a cult in itself, in that is the opposition of faith, right? Religion requires faith and obedience by its very nature. Science lies in opposition of that by questioning everything. That's where we get the bizarre conflagration of education and witchcraft. Conflagration?
I just thought back to Wacky Disasters.
Yeah, you want to say it as Liam Neeson?
What did he say? Something
The
about
great
the-
conflagration.
The great conflagration.
Yeah, you get so with like science being in
Lord
opposition.
Mayor of Dublin.
Yeah. That science being in opposition to religion, you get the conflagration of education with witchcraft. Like witches and wizards are depicted usually as possessing arcane knowledge, esoteric understanding of unnatural things, and Christianity
Like
in particular.
scientists.
Much like scientists, yes,
wacky
exactly.
scientists.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because they know some shit. They've got crazy vials full of stuff. They've got skulls on their table. They've got
Burn
fucking
the scientist is what I say.
But they also wear floppy hats. So look out. They live in huts. So Christianity in particular has many times been recorded as torturing and murdering overly educated men and women, specifically women,
I was going to say.
for practicing medicine or astrology or mathematics, metallurgy, or any other countless forms of investigative practices. Yeah, you fucking burn them as heretics or boil them in oil and some shit like that. You know, you look at like Galileo Galilei.
Or throw them in the water, and if they swim, they're clearly a witch.
They weigh as much as a duck. But look at like Galileo.
Turn you into a newt.
You got Galileo Galilei.
Mm-hmm.
Galileo Galilei. He was sentenced to permanent house arrest for believing in heliocentrism. Just that he just like looked up at the sun and went, "Hey, you think maybe we're going around that?" And they were like, fuck you, buddy." And they wanted to kill him. He was on trial. He's going to be executed for heresy because he was like, "No, but it keeps doing this thing. Like, what if we're spinning?"
Yeah.
And they're like, no, fuck you. We're going to pull your toenails out. And he was just like, It's like all the markers are there. I'm just saying, I see it. Right
I've
there.
just been paying attention to it a lot, and it seems like maybe that's stationary.
Yeah, and they're like, "Fuck you, shut up, Satan." You know, and they locked him up for the rest of his life. Like, the only reason he wasn't executed was legitimately because he was already a really, really well-respected, like, engineer and physicist.
Right.
You know,
Jesus.
Christianity in Europe bred occult mysticism like wildfire. The entire continent was pagan before the spread of Roman Christianity.
Right.
We talked before about how, like, the model of Satan was built around vilifying agriculture. You know, like, you got the whippy tail and the horns. You got the pitchfork.
Yeah.
You know, all these, like, agrarian like symbols.
Well, yeah, we talked about how
He's got hooves and shit, you know?
Yeah. How that came out of, like, sort of the opposite of how you would artistically depict someone who is godly.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, this one's holding like a shepherd's staff.
Uh-huh.
Let's make the devil do one with spikes
He's
on
got
it.
goat stuff. He's got a hairy ass. He got cloven hooves. He got
Jesus.
fine brown hair like a goat.
Devil eyes.
He got them crazy devil eyes.
Goat eyes.
Hey, mama, the devil got crazy eyes. That.
Oh, lordy. That devil got goat eyes.
You know, but that was the association because like pagan societies were by and large very agricultural. You know, so people that would turn away from Christianity and embrace their old religions, their old pagan gods and stuff, they would be associated with the devil. And eventually those symbols all just kind of fucking mush together and you get a roster of like hells and demons populated by pagan figures. You know, like you get all those old... You ever watch like a movie with a demon possession or something? I think the one with Anthony Hopkins, the demon's ball, or you got the Pazuzu from The Exorcist. You know, these aren't figures that are listed in the Bible. They come from... You know, those would be like Middle Eastern pagan religions, or figures in other
Right.
You know,
Other legitimate religions that were practiced in just other regions of the world and weren't Christianity.
Yeah, so like if you think about Christianity, you've got
which is what and I don't think I ever used the word propagandized in the last episode, but I mean going through what we went through in that Bible episode. It is so fucking propagandized, like the shit that they left out, the shit, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it's very shaped, it's very political. And then if you think about the idea of the occult.
And so this is just an extension of it. Like,
yeah, exactly. And it's
people used to worship this thing.
It's also
Let's turn it into an evil demon.
It's a very like
religion.
separate but equal sort of thing too, because with the monotheism that you get with God being like the overarching big God, you need one overarching devil. Like that's why like we've got the Satan, he's bad. But then you also have you got Pazuzu and Baal and Ogar and like all these fucking random little, let's throw some demons under there too. So there's a bunch more of them. But
God's got angels, devil's
yeah,
got
so if
demons.
you were living in a village and you had like a fertility goddess or something that you and a couple thousand other people in the area worshipped, when Christianity takes over, that goddess would find its way into the pantheon of demons at some point.
Right. Jesus Christ.
So that's how you get your, population of demons.
Mm.
And that also joins with like Hebraic demonology and Kabbalah and Muslim spirituality. It includes like jinn and other dark spirits and shit from the desert.
Jinn, which are basically genies.
Yeah. Also,
like
a juniper
evil.
Flavored clear liqueur.
It is.
No,
I was talking specifically about DJINN, but
jinn's not a dark spirit. We're thinking of Sambuca. But the people that turn away from Christianity, they're like, this is fucking dumb, and they're like killing off all of our gods essentially, and kind of like enslaving our own religions for their own weird dark purposes. The people that turn away from Christianity have to do it in secret, and they form secret societies and like occult religions.
Right.
And they have Black Sabbaths, like Black Sabbath. And they have Black Sabbaths, they have covens, they get darker worships in general. Shit gets creepy because that's the way that it's pushed to be, like
it's got to be it's got to be done sort of cloaked and in the dark.
Exactly. You can't have darkness without light, right? So like the shadow is the result of like light shining. So it's the whole dark light of the Force Star Wars shit. People that would have to find these secret societies to like circumvent church conventions and laws are scientists and theologians and philosophers and doctors and mathematicians and engineers and anyone that wants to pursue understanding in an area that would get traditionally you boiled in oil or your fucking tongue ripped out with hot tongs, like things like talking about like, hey, this woman seems to have cramps. Perhaps there's a medicine for that,
Right.
They'd be like, Satan.
No. You put her in a tent outside of the house until she's better.
Or dies. Or better or dies. That's your rules. Jesus is either going to take care of her, impregnate her, or she dies.
Isn't that an Old Testament? When your wife's on your period, you're supposed to like cast her out
off to the woods, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
which in the satanic, the Church of Satan, they do not do. So
compelling sales pitch for the Church of Satan. Riley's got it going today.
Hey, Satan is as they say is a great salesman.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, the what's it? The tongue of the devil gets you wetter than fucking anything. Is that one of the sayings?
I feel like you made that up, but I like it.
Yeah, it kind of fits, right?
It's got me wet right now.
So you get doctors and philosophers and these like chemists, and they're all standing in fucking caves wearing hoods. They're rubbing elbows with snake priests that are like eating fly agaric mushrooms and seeing devil spiders and
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
And the scientists couldn't be like, hey Gork, can you like fuck off with your visions and crows for a second so we can
experiments here.
so we can talk about like how to make like
an experiment.
Trying to make like good steel.
Yeah.
And fucking, you got like just some crazy guy in a bear skin that's just like, oh, the stars bleed.
Which is funny, like the dichotomy, because every advancement that we've had as a society since fucking caveman times is because of science and is because of scientists. You know what I mean? Like, if we had just adhered to these sort of the God's rules from day one, particularly if it was Christianity from day one, where the fuck do you think we'd be?
Well, we pretty much exactly where we were at the time.
Yeah, exactly. By design.
I mean, we're still like the world is held very strongly by the conventions of religion. A lot of our world politics. I mean, look at the fucking wars in the Middle East right now.
Sure.
It's all just weird religious bullshit.
And every time some new sort of technological advancement or something, that's going to move people forward as a species happens, there's always this big, sort of alarmist reaction that's very much centered, if not in religion, at least in that way of thinking, at least that sort of like, whoa, we're changing too much as a society. We gotta,
everything's changing too fast. This goes against God's plan.
Exactly.
And like, I'm not here to overtly just hate on religion. I've got other fish to fry. Like my feelings on religion being passé and ridiculous they don't mean anything to this podcast. I'm just trying to comment on the realities of like the historical happenstance, right? But you can't deny that there are certain things about society that could be advanced heavily if we weren't fucking worrying about somebody who hasn't said anything in a while,
But I mean, again, that's your take on it, because there are people who believe that every day you wake up and the sun's in the sky and the flowers are blooming, that's God talking to them.
And there are other people who believe that every day when you wake up, before you put on your makeup, they should say a little prayer for you.
Aretha Franklin specifically.
I was doing the Wayne Brady. So, like, eventually these two worlds of, like, science and occultism.
You know what? I quit.
That was a good bit.
Wayne Brady. Come on, man.
Wayne Brady.
On an Aretha Franklin song.
Cut me some slack.
I'll do my best.
So, yeah. So, like, fucking, you can't just kick Gork the mage out of the cave when you want to fucking, like, talk about astrology or something. So, eventually these two worlds, like, they start to blend. And then you get these secret occult societies. You get like powerful, intelligent, upper crust members of society that are gathering in secret to like sacrifice pigs on a demonic altar, or they're using ash from burned corpses to aid in
children
alchemy
for their adrenochrome
in a
pizza parlor.
Yeah. That's where this shit leads. That's where it goes. Pizza is the next step.
See, if we had been abiding by Christianity from day one, we would have never even got pizza.
You see, it's
we never even had pizza.
Quit worrying about Jesus all the time, and maybe the president will stop eating babies or whatever the fuck everyone's worried about all the time. Or is it Tom Hanks? I don't know.
All of them, Riley. All of them.
No, but like what they're doing shit like. Over time, this develops into literally like drinking hallucinogens and having fucking ritualistic orgies, and
that sounds all cool.
It does sound pretty cool. It's these.
Which cult is that? Is there a pamphlet?
They're all over the place. That's Bohemian Grove thing, even I think. But like, this is like in the 17.
How do I contact them?
In the 17 and 1800s, if you wanted to subvert the higher power, which was the church,
fax number, website.
It's 666-666-666-666.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's hot. Go on. You were saying?
In the 1700s, if you wanted to like learn something that went against church doctrine, like you were really interested in some form of birth control, say, right?
Yeah.
Or get an abortion even, or some shit like that, you'd have to go find the people hiding out in the woods that had like the fucking secret knowledge of how to do this shit. And those people would inevitably be doctors and scientists. Right. And they'd be like quietly just like,
Now, when you say in the past, you mean in the right nows?
In the right nows, yes. In the absolutely right fucking now is the other thing.
Sorry, we try not to do topical stuff, but...
Yeah, so I mean, it's just pretty obvious.
It's hard not to swing at that one.
It's a really easy correlation, because if you have forbidden knowledge, it's just like if you outlaw guns, outlaws will have guns. If you make knowledge criminal, smart people are going to be criminals. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And this is how you lead to those like witch hunts, always like grabbing the wise woman out of the woods and shit like that. Because there'd be some old lady who's like, yeah, I know how to like cure your toothache with fucking
some herbs. Yeah,
and I'd be like, Satan does that. Fuck you, and then they skin her alive. And I'm not saying that like there was a geared church doctrine that was like we're trying to keep people dumb. This is the natural evolution of these two worlds.
So what you're saying is that after Frodo was stabbed with the Morgul blade, and Strider is there with the hobbits and sees the wound, and he has Samwise go and find some what's the fucking herb that he gets?
The fucking mugwort or some shit.
Yeah, and then he's like,
press it on the wound.
This wound is beyond my expertise to heal. He needs elvish medicine.
Yeah.
That would.
He was practicing the occult.
That would be the occult.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
And then when he went to Rivendell, there was an entire society of the pantheon of demons that specifically used arcane demonic.
Right.
Yeah.
In this metaphor, does that make Sauron Christianity?
Yeah, he's Jesus. Because as we all know, of course, in that case, the real God would be Morgoth, his trainer.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Come on.
Holy shit.
Where are we here? Jesus. So
I was trying to figure out what the ring is. It never got Frodo pregnant, so it can't be the Holy Spirit.
No, the ring is Christ's sacrifice for man.
I don't know.
The ring represents the gold pieces that were paid to Judas.
Oh, I like it. I don't know that it fits, but
the ring.
We'll figure it out. Well, you know what? We'll
the ring represents the foreskin taken from the Lord. Okay, so these are all super humble beginnings, of course, but it's like eventually how the
throw it in the fire.
So
You must cast the foreskin back into the fires from whence it came.
no. Wear it as a necklace. So all
Drew,
that,
Drew, where's your foreskin?
yeah, did you get to keep it? Do you
Do you have a necklace?
It's in a jar in my room.
Fuck yeah. That's cool.
So all right,
Kind
so
of culty too.
all this shit is obviously like pretty, aside from the Lord of the Rings stuff, it's obviously pretty like humble beginnings on how like the occult becomes such a powerful force.
Mm-hmm.
But like the secretism of the occult at this time is what leads to people being able to gain power while still fucking dick around with forbidden knowledge.
Sure.
It becomes, especially in England, in the 17 and 1800s, it becomes like super, super common for secret societies to be super, super powerful and everyone to know about them and know that they delve into this forbidden knowledge, right? It's like in the 18th century, the Freemasons held control of Europe and North America. You had princes and dukes and lords, and they're all chanting rituals in basements and crypts, and it's never clear who really believed all the occult stuff or who was just there to network with powerful people.
To just be
Yeah. It's like, I don't know about this goat thing, but like, hey, I aren't you in the House of Lords? Like, hey, I'm John.
you have a daughter who needs a husband, right?
Yeah, right. Hey. Yeah, but eventually,
They work real hard. That's all I'm saying.
eventually, like the Freemasons never go away. They obviously,
they're still here.
There's a fucking Masonic temple here in St. Augustine. They're all over the place. There's still that's a secret society,
Right.
even though they play out in the light.
Some fucking nerd I went to high school with is in the Freemasons, and like
Mhm.
a long time ago, back when I used to pay attention to Facebook before, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago when I stopped.
Yeah, an ex-girlfriend's dad was pretty high up Mason.
This kid
in
was
Michigan.
always posting stuff about, it's not masonry, but whatever it
This
is.
is masonry.
Is it?
Yeah, because the
If he was
idea is
posting about masonry, I'd be like, "What? Show me some
because
brickwork, dude.
they build. That's the whole thing. They're building a foundation.
Show
the
me your
Masons,
brickwork."
But yeah, like if you go to any major city in the United
trowel
States,
line looks like
there's
shit.
there's a fucking Masonic temple somewhere,
Yes.
and usually like you'll be like, we're gonna do fucking Irish dancing at the Masonic temple, on 9 Mile and
Yeah, we're gonna march
Yeah.
in the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Exactly, like because you don't even think about it. You don't even like it doesn't pop in your head like the fucking what the Masonic Lodge like, but those
Temple of Freemasons.
Yeah,
What?
exactly. This is like a really powerful occult society that's been a mover and shaker for
Right.
time immemorial. And like this, England is fucking all over that
Right,
shit.
right.
If you ever read the fantastic graphic
Well,
novel,
because England was kind of like that weird island up there, as you know,
dark gray,
as
yeah.
right, as the Romans were kind of conquering, and it was just still this weird druidic society
and you
for
never-
like longer than a lot of the rest of the European continent.
as been stated before, the snakes are still in Ireland.
Yeah.
There's like those influences never leave. There's still, fucking the movies about it and shit all over the
It
place.
wasn't that long ago, honestly. In the grand scheme of history, it wasn't that long.
The really great comic book writer Alan Moore, who did like Watchmen and V for Vendetta, he did the Jack the Ripper graphic novel From Hell, which is amazing.
Right.
But he's just such a fucking nerd. Like Alan Moore specifically does deep, dark research on shit, and he is a Freemason and a fucking nut job and an occultist. Like, yeah, that's his whole thing. And a fucking very prolific writer. But he breaks down at one point in that graphic novel a series of phallic landmarks in London that if you mark them on the map of London, make a giant pentagram. And it's like, bam, it's right there. It's in your face, bitch. Yeah. But so the Freemasons never really dissolve, but you get a lot of offshoots. And one that I really want to talk about in my now very limited time on this segment.
Very.
There's a group called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Okay.
Right? So they were funded in
This was okay. Do they use the 8-pointed cross?
yeah.
This is Scientology took that from them.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's actually here's kind of the thing. I guess I
ran into them in my research for this episode.
because they're huge in varying religions throughout like history from their inception in 1888. They become the secret society, like cause celebre. Everybody wants to be a part of this shit because they're trying to practice darker, deeper rituals. Like you get like there's a massive list of people that sometimes they'd have 100 members, sometimes they'd have up to like 300 members.
So yeah, you had like, poets and celebrated actors and heads of state and all this kind of shit, and they would research all the occult shit from every society they could find all over the world and compile them and try them all out. And that's what, they're having fucking weird orgies and they're trying to summon demons with blood rituals and in the daytime they're going to have tea with the queen and shit.
This all sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean it's all cool, but like there are darker turns to it. In general, it's just
Well, I mean, you're bound.
In general, it's all just a
bound to have
society.
some whoopsie daisies when you're doing all that stuff. You know what I mean?
The reality of it is, and I want to cover this a little more on another segment. I think I'm going to come back to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. We're just kind of doing an intro into this sort of shit right here. But they were the guys that compiled all Kabbalah and fucking the Baha'i faith and all kinds of shit from all over the world, and just tried to fuck with all of it at once.
Yeah.
So nowadays. When you've got like crunchy hippie witches that are like, I've got my magic crystals and my tarot deck, and I'm burning sage and my voodoo doll. It's because the Hermetic Order brought them all together and made them like viable as like a singular entity.
By the way, to your point about coming back and doing an episode about the Hermetic Order of the Golden
Dawn.
The nature of our podcast, if you haven't noticed yet, is that every single episode we do, there's the potential for like multiple more episodes.
It all just
based off
off
of the things that we can't get into in depth.
Well, this segment was originally going to be about Aleister Crowley,
right?
And Aleister Crowley has an interesting backstory in general,
very much.
But
so.
the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is huge in his legend.
Okay,
even though he wasn't in it for a very long time, it was like what started him down the path of like really intense like magical practices. But that's really just. This is the weird religion aspect of this, is that people in high society who would consider themselves Christians, like they would like show up at mass, all this shit in public at night. They're like buggering each other and fucking snorting crushed bones and fucking and doing sigils like on the ground in blood, trying to summon a demon that they wanted to enslave and rape. Like this isn't kid stuff. They're like really trying. They really want this shit to work. They want the power.
That all sounds so much cooler than Catholic Mass.
It's about the same thing, really.
All right. Is it my turn? Or?
Yeah, moving on.
Okay. So.
Oh wait, no. One more thing. One of these people that was in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, who was attempting to raise a demon to rape, was William Butler Yeats, the poet laureate of England and Nobel Prize winner.
I was gonna say,
right? And after his several years of insane occult activity and moonlight orgies and stuff, he wrote these beautiful words, I think, to commemorate the occasion.
Okay.
Think where man's glory most begins and ends, and say, my glory was I had such friends. There are no strangers here, only friends you haven't met. Do not wait to strike till the iron is hot, but make it hot by striking.
Oh.
And that's all about his penis.
Well, that sounds like something he wrote after watching an episode of Cheers.
It's more like an episode of his friends cheersing each other
with the blood of a goat in a chalice
as they banged their servants. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's pip pip, cheers.
Well, so mine is not as deviously, my first one, not so deviously cultish, but I do want to talk about the Prince Philip movement.
That like a dance?
It's you're familiar with the Prince Albert piercing, right?
Yes.
So Prince Philip is like when you get like that ring around from your butthole to your taint, you get that pierced. So it's a movement to do that.
I thought that was Prince Albert in your can.
In your can. No, the Prince Philip movement. So, okay. So for those of you who have been listening to our British Monarchy series, we haven't gotten to Prince Philip yet, so you may not know who he is. Prince Philip was the consort of Queen Elizabeth II.
Consort sounds so dirty for somebody that was married for like 45 years. Some shit.
More than that. So the consort of Queen Elizabeth II, that's the most recent Queen Elizabeth, not the daughter of Henry VIII, who we have covered.
The proper, I think, translation for consort is penis boy.
Right. So Prince Philip was her penis boy. He died a few years ago at the vigorous and spry and not at all creepy looking age of 100 years old.
He looked like a monster.
He did. He looked insane.
And he just like, you could hear you. Have no idea what he sounded like when he died, but I fucking know for a fact. For a fact, it sounded like it's biggest the tea. We have the crumpets, the little one.
His skin looked so papery thin that like if you stared at him too hard, it would crack.
Yeah, if you went out in
He'd just
direct
start
sunlight,
bleeding
you
out.
would. He wouldn't just burst because he was a vampire. He would burst because he was so brittle.
Yeah, he was a fucking.
And the last moisture would get swept away from him. He'd turn into dust.
He looked like fucking Nosferatu for real. Jesus, I never thought about that.
It's like Mr. Burns.
God, oh my God, yes. But anyway, so yeah, he was Queen Elizabeth's boo until he died a few years ago. He was born in Greece to parents of Greek and Danish royal lineage before he was exiled from Greece at 18 whole months old.
For being a creepy old fuck already? That was...
Well, if you're saying to yourself, what the fuck does this have to do with weird religions? You're obviously
listening to the wrong podcast.
Yeah.
You want us to get right to the point? Go fuck yourself.
I accidentally am reading my Monarchs 3 notes is what no. I'm kidding. I am not industrious enough to have done those notes yet. This guy, Prince Philip, is the centerpiece of the Prince Philip movement. You see, the South Pacific had a lot of relatively uncontacted or minimally contacted tribes up until around 80, 85 years ago. And then some things happened that suddenly made the South Pacific a popular spot for, pop-up military bases and airstrips and all kinds of fun.
Did they find gold there?
Fun little stopovers for military troops.
Hold on.
World War II.
What could it have been?
World War II was happening. So as a result of all these tribes suddenly seeing, all kinds of wild shit they had never previously even imagined was possible.
Like people.
People flying in on airplanes.
Yeah, I oftentimes consider like the people of Micronesia and like islands like fucking Tonga Tabu and shit. Like, just like, oh, we're just, eating the crab.
I mean,
drinking from the coconut.
Relatively unchanged, carving canoes out of fucking entire trees.
We're gonna pray to the octopus god.
We've got navigators. We can just get across these and
island to island, and then like bam, a fucking battleship pulls up. They're like, what the fuck?
a fucking
like we've never even seen
an
metal.
ice cream barge pulls up.
These guys have never seen metal, and
they're like, soft serve. What the fuck is this?
And then about
anybody who's a Patreon listener will know
about
our ice cream
9,000 horny white or Japanese men pull up.
Oh my god! Yeah,
they're like, these guys will probably be friendly.
They've got sticks that make little bullets, little rocks go into you from far away. So yeah, as a result of these tribes suddenly, seeing all this wild shit that they had never even thought was possible, they started basically worshiping these strange people and things as gods.
Pretty easy. Yeah, like pretty easy translation there.
Well, remember the Arthur C. Clarke quote, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing is like, if you've never even fucking you have to think of how primitive they were and still are on purpose. At this point they are like, we're going to talk about Vanuatu, which is east of Australia at length here. The people on a lot of the islands there in Vanuatu are deliberately sort of
they're still living in like a harmonious way on purpose.
Right. Yeah, they don't want electricity,
which is something that happened many times. Yeah, I mean, we've seen this in our country with the Pennsylvania Dutch, but but like that happens on a lot of islands. There are plenty. Yeah, there are plenty that are like, no, we're going to be this culture. We're going to be us.
Right.
Well, we understand that there's another world out there where shit's happening, but you're all insane and you ride dragons. We're just gonna fucking chill here.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, which I do not consider to be a primitive outlook at all. I think that's
crazy at all.
Very advanced, like that shit to understand that. Like, I don't necessarily want to be a person out in that.
My economy is that I live in this village where everybody does a thing and we all benefit from it.
Yeah. My economy is that I drove 4 hours today to change a sprinkler head. And I have to go back tomorrow.
Now you get paid in imaginary coins.
Money that is nothing. It's not even marks on paper. It doesn't exist.
I know.
If the power goes out, I'm broke. If the power's on, I'm broke.
Yeah, so basically seeing these World War II era planes and battleships and guns and ice cream barges, those things were fucking magic from the gods, right? And there are still like a lot of John Frummish cargo cults in the South Pacific to this day. Cargo cults predate. Are you familiar with the term cargo cult?
I'm wearing their pants right now.
So they predate World War II, but they really kind of blew up during the war with soldiers from both the U.S. and Japan, basically bringing local tribes cool, crazy shit that they had never seen before and gifting it to them in attempt to use them to whatever end, not necessarily to arm them and toss them into battle, but intel on the other side, or like a lot of times they had them, like in Vanuatu, they had, can't remember what the brigade was, but it was basically like a local brigade that just did logistics, just bring these bullets over there, bring these bombs over there,
Right.
go fill up the fucking tires in the plane, shit like that. So, and they would use locals for that. And in exchange,
So you make a local economy based on that sort of thing.
in exchange, they would gift them cargo that was like just mind blowing to them.
No. Hey, have some metal hats.
Yeah.
Look what we brought you, beef.
Yeah,
You know,
listen. What can you get people to accomplish in exchange for like some piece of shit stuffed animal or like an old compass or whatever? You know
Dude,
what
I mean, like people that have specifically only eaten fish their entire lives. You know what a canned ham is worth? Like, what is this majestic delicacy?
Right. So, like I said, Vanuatu is one of the South Pacific island nations that still to this day has some of these cargo cults that have persisted. That's actually where the John Frum movement started. And John Frum, when I started doing the cargo cult research, I thought about John Frum movement, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with.
I'm
We'll
not.
talk
I'm
about
not.
it here in a second. It was basically he was a white god who he's one of the cargo cults, right?
Right.
And it's that
Figure,
it's sort
I
of
feel like there are a lot of
it's
those.
sort of there are. It's sort of we were talking about, what episode was it when I was talking about? Oh, it was one of our Patreons where I was trying to figure out who the author, and I was saying Douglas Copeland was
Right.
kind of a Vonnegut-esque writer,
Vonnegution.
Vonnegution, along with Tom Robbins, and to a lesser extent Christopher Moore, who actually wrote a book called Island of the Sequined Love Nun.
Yeah, I've read that one. I
Have you?
read a few Christopher Morris. He's silly.
He is silly.
He's a good writer, but he's fucking. This shit is silly.
Vonnegut-ish.
It's like if you
In-
took
yeah.
Galapagos sillier works like
Right,
Galapagos
exactly,
and shit, and just really throw down on
Ran
like
with it.
silly jokes. Yeah.
But yeah, Island of the Sequined Love Nun. But it's the main character is like a pilot.
Yeah, and
he
he's got-
falls on it. He like fillets his dick.
Yeah, exactly.
In a plane accident.
Yeah.
And then ends up like,
Which
"Oh,
I
don't
think
know what
is a comment on fucking The Sun Also Rises or some shit.
Yeah.
Like,
But then he ends up flying for this like little South Pacific island that's running a cargo cult, and it turns out they're actually like, aren't they like draining the islanders of their blood and or their organs? They're stealing the
Yeah,
organs
yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
having him ship them to like
Mhm.
Japan or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did another one about vampires that I liked. I can't remember those. Blood-sucking bastard or some shit.
Wasn't it
Like,
just like you? No, it wasn't
or
you
is
suck.
you,
That's
you
a movie.
suck?
That's a movie. I know which one you're talking about. Where the daughter like
Yeah.
no.
I think that one's called You Suck, and you're thinking vampires suck, or My Best Friend is a Vampire with Jim Carrey.
I'm thinking of the one. There's a Christopher Moore where the daughter like summons some sort of fucking crazy ass demons from.
Oh, that's old Mrs. Johnson. You stay away from my daughter. Yeah.
Old Mrs. Johnson. We're having a lot of throwbacks to
Yeah.
old episodes here today, aren't we?
Yeah.
What was that one?
That was Cryptids 2.
That was Cryptids too.
Let's get back on topic.
That was Cryptids too. And then what else did we bring up? We brought up Ice Cream Barge, which is
I did a
Patreon.
Boudreaux earlier.
We did a Boudreaux earlier. We did the fuck else did we bring up?
I
Nah, whatever.
don't know.
So
Tuttle Bottoms, piss cabbage.
So again, John Frum movement actually started on Vanuatu, still exists. So Vanuatu, like I said, is this sort of archipelago of islands east of Australia. And on the southern part of this archipelago is an island called Tana, Tana. And on the island of Tana are a couple of villages. I'm going to destroy the pronunciation of these, but Yaonanen and Yakal. And in these villages is a bit of a legend that states that the son of a mountain spirit took the form of a pale-skinned man, traveled to a distant land, married a powerful woman, and that one day he would return to the island to shower it with blessings. Now, in some of those stories, he is a brother of John Frum, but in any case, at some point...
How primitive to feel like the light-skinned son of a deity might return with sparkling gifts.
Jesus. So... At some point,
savages.
At some point in the 60s, some of the local natives decided that the mountain god in question was none other than Prince Philip. And they worshiped Prince Philip all the way until his death, at which point his son Charles became sort of the messiah of their affection.
God damn, if I found out that like the mountain god that I've worshipped, my family's worshipped for generations
was
untold,
an old Ponzi
was
fucking
shitty
British.
old fucking douchebag Prince Philip, I'd be like, I'm out. I'm done. Send me to the hell of boiling oil or whatever the fuck.
Fortunately for them, they don't have like a TV to watch, his finest moments.
You just see him though. You just see him and you're like, ugh. Why is he yellow?
So during his lifetime, Philip did actually go to Vanuatu once, but he never made it down to the island of Tana. The history...
They worship you as a god, bro.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, nah, one is enough.
Well, so the history of Vanuatu is pretty incredible. As always, we don't have time to get into it, but it was settled by natives like 3,000 years ago, found by the Spanish Portuguese in the early 1600s, then abandoned, and then found again by the French in the 1770s, so like over 150 years later. So then it was under British/French control for a long time where, as always, they treated the native people like shit. They didn't let them have a say in governing their own land, and then they exploited them for their labor and their resources and,
Took their food, fucked them.
Yeah, one of my favorite, took their food and fucked them. One of my favorite things was denying them citizenship. So this whole land belongs partly to France and partly to England. And we're gonna buy, quote unquote, buy this land and use the locals to work in these fucking plantations, but they can't be citizens of France or England.
What a horrifying culture that
this is part of France and England. But you can't be a citizen.
America would never have multiple different islands that work under our purview, but don't have citizenship.
Right. Incredibly, during World War II. The islands were used, obviously, as staging grounds to fight the Japanese. And the natives actually really liked the Americans as opposed to the British and the French that had been there for a long time.
Americans are big on giving you a chocolate bar.
Well,
before they fuck you.
One of the...
Hey, look, I brought you a Hershey's.
It's still one of my top moves.
Hey, look, some candy. Oh, it's over there. Hey, look.
Whoops, I dropped your candy bar. Hey, yo, whoa. So, quick,
whoopsie daisy.
Super quick sidebar. So, I found out recently that Allison, for some reason, is turned on by my weird New Jersey wise guy thing.
No.
Yeah. She gets like the bedroom eyes and stuff. And she's like,
Wow.
So
when you do like the fucking the gabagool.
Like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing?
Because your neck gets so fat when you do that. Like it just
really?
No, but in my head, it's like I see Fat Neck Patrick with like a gold chain on when you do that.
So
hey, I'm going down here, give me a sandwich.
Yeah. I gotta shave my shoulders later. Anyway, I found this out, so I've been going real hard on it. And one of my favorite characters now is fucking Guido, New Jersey guy who doesn't understand like sexual harassment and like doesn't understand like the Me Too era. And so I've just been like walking around like, hey, yo, hey, how you doing? Yeah, you're a pretty fine looking broad. Why don't you come and bring your boobs over here like in and around my mouth, huh? And then being like, whoa, hey, yo, whoa, I was asking you for permission. I heard consent is important. I don't understand what's with all this harassment shit, huh?
God damn it, that is just Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. That is like 1980s Italian Guido guy from New Jersey is Phil Hartman's Unfrozen. I'm frightened and confused by this strange metal bird. Why don't you give me a Mai Tai, honey?
Hey, bro. Hey, why don't you come over here and bounce your manicotti up and down on my gobble? gabagool, huh?
Now I'm just a caveman, frightened and confused by your modern world, but it does appear to me that Article 3, Section 2 clearly states...
So, whoa, what did I say that's so wrong? I asked you your permission, huh? All you have to say is no. What do you mean harassment? Make me a sandwich. All right.
Much like the occult, you're just going to transform into that guy with the allure of weird role-playing baggage.
Whoa. I would love to be able to say that before any statement I ever make.
See, just now, your wife's just going to lure you into being that character all the time. She'll fatten you up with sandwiches and shit, and just be like, "Oh yeah, say it again."
Hey, thanks for the sandwich.
You'll be like, "Oh, gabagool,
gabagool." Slide your manicotti back and forth on it.
Hey, this sausage.
Okay, so like I was saying. The thing that they liked about the Americans, again, anytime...
Is that they would go into silly rants with voices and then they'd pop right back into business?
And give them a chocolate. First of all, anytime you're sort of exposed to a different culture, there's that sort of like, whoa, this is cool. Think Yasuke Black Samurai.
Mm.
But also, okay, granted, what we know about it is a little not as cool, but like them seeing black soldiers, right? That was something that like... colonial era France and England would not have been, like we had a lot of black people, and yes, they were in segregated units, but like these tribal people in Vanuatu don't know the logistics of like the political part of this.
They'd have been like, oh, the cool ones here.
Yeah, they've got black guys too, and look at them, it's flying planes and stuff. Oh, that's cool. So that was cool, and sort of in this. And still at that time, too, the U.S. had a lot more of an anti-colonial attitude than, again, France and England would have had. So they would still had all sort of the pomp and circumstance, even on these islands. You know what I mean? So they liked the troops. And so after the war ended, and, that's really when European decolonization sort of started in earnest across, Africa and throughout the world, and all these sort of places that these English, Portuguese, Spanish, all that shit had still under their control, if they hadn't already gotten away. But so after this decolonization started, and after they had been sort of exposed a little bit more to some other cultures, some other, U.S. troops specifically, around that time, around the late 40s, early 50s, there started, some shit started popping off in terms of the locals wanting to have their own, say in their own, like governing their own lands. And so shit started popping off. It went back and forth for a long time. And then eventually in 1980, they got their independence. Place has only been an independent country for 40 something years. So
it's only been as independent as the movie Double Dragons has been out.
Right. With Jean-Claude Van Damme. So Philip, like I said, never visited Tana, although Charles has.
Double Dragons doesn't have fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme. What are you talking about?
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's
Double Trouble? Double
Dragons is Alyssa Milano.
What?
Yeah, and God, that guy that's in fucking Le Pacte de Loup.
I don't know. I'm getting back to this.
He's also in John Wick 3.
So, like I said, Prince Philip has never gone, or had never before his death, gone to Tana. Prince Charles has. There are a lot of quotes from islanders who are part of this movement who saw Philip when he came to, I think, Espiritu Santo is the main island of Vanuatu. Go ahead.
It's Scott Wolf and Mark Dacascos. Double Dragons.
Cool beans.
1994. Go fuck yourself. Never mind.
So when Philip came, he went to like the main island. Espiritu Santo is like the main island of Vanuatu. So there are quotes from some of the locals that like traveled there from Tana to go see him, right?
Mm.
One guy says that he knew when he saw Philip in his naval uniform standing on the ship that he was definitely the Messiah. Which is an insane thing to say.
That's definitely him.
About anybody ever.
Because everyone was bowing to him? Is that what?
Well, so the story goes that Philip was not aware of this cult, which probably formed after seeing photos and portraits in official buildings. Because remember, the British are partway controlling these islands, right? So they have official buildings.
So he just like incidentally showed up on this island that everyone fucking worshipped him?
Well, just on Tana, right? He went to the main island of Espiritu Santo.
Right. Okay.
So Tana is where the Prince Philip movement is. So some people went up there when they heard and saw him, but from what we know, he was not aware of it. But after his visit, he went in 1974. Some of the villagers went to see him, and there was an English local in Vanuatu that learned about it, and he wrote to Prince Philip asking for a portrait to gift them, which he sent. And from there was like a decent amount of correspondence between Philip and the leaders of the movement. They sent him a ceremonial pig killing club called a nal,
Tight.
which he then sent a photo of him holding back to them. And like all these things are part of a big ass shrine.
Sent back a picture of him holding it up like it's his dick. You're like,
oh, look, it's my penis. Thank you.
The smashing big willy. I've slayed many a pig with this one. My time in the force.
Oh, very good, very
good. Jovial. Wobbly jubbly.
Yeah, he sent this back. So they have this big ass shrine to Prince Philip on the island of Tana. He is credited with using his powers to get a black man elected in the U.S. That was Prince Philip's magical powers.
What, like Obama?
Obama. Mm-hmm.
Prince Philip got Obama elected, and that
according to the Prince Philip movement followers.
Okay.
He also used his pale-face mountain magic to locate Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
So, now that I think about it,
you might not know this, but like white people, we always knew. We always knew where he was. All white people have that power.
Obama really got to coast with Philip doing all this heavy lifting, huh? He got him elected. He found Osama bin Laden for him. I mean, geez, Obama, do some work.
Thanks, Obama.
So, yeah, there's no evidence that Prince Philip really abused this relationship for any sort of personal gain.
It's pretty far to go to abuse it. Like, he'd have to go a pretty long way. That's a lot of effort to abuse.
What do they have that he needs?
Yeah, I mean, like, what are you going to go just kill one of them for fun and, laugh as they die, I guess?
I'm going to use my pig killing stick to kill one of these natives.
Kill one of these pigs.
They think I'm their god anyway.
Now squeal for me.
Gross.
That's my Prince Philip laugh.
Yes. So, but yeah, he corresponded with them a handful of times, and apparently anytime he spoke of the villagers that worshipped him as a god, it seems like it always came, like he always spoke with them, like spoke about them from like a place of kindness, which is not something he was particularly known for. He was kind of known for being like just a fucking say what's on your mind, kind of gruff,
shriveled old cunt. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are lots.
Spoke of them with kindness.
There,
yes, they are sort of a people. Poor devils.
Oh, lovely that they think I'm their god, isn't it? Have I showed you the stick that they sent me?
Would that it were. Would that it were.
So there are lots of photos of villagers holding portraits of like, or photos of Prince Philip. It's fucking definitely a weird religion. But it doesn't seem like it's hurting anyone, unlike the Christian missionaries who have been out there converting people away from this movement or away from this movement.
I guess that's fair. I mean, like, when Christians started coming into like Haiti and Dominica and places like that, where there were forms of like the voodoo going on, like it became illegal at a certain point to practice voodoo. So what people that practice voodoo would do would just take like the iconography of the Catholic Church or whatever,
and
and they just like be like, this picture of Jesus, that's our fucking like death god,
right? And that's why there's a lot of really fucked up, crazy like Christian iconography, iconography in voodoo,
so like
Santeria and all that shit.
So it's like all that Christians coming into this island and being like, no, he's not a god. This one, Jesus, it would just be like, okay, so that's Prince Philip. What do you?
Wait, he didn't marry a powerful woman. He was a virgin. Get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
Oh, he wasn't a virgin? He took a lady out of his... Whoa. He made a lady?
I want to do the... Yeah, I don't want to talk about that
No,
anymore.
I don't want to talk about that either.
Enough.
That was one very short bit in the last episode was enough of that forever. But yeah, that's the Prince Philip movement.
You know that Jesus story would have been... it would... This is a bad joke. It wouldn't have passed the Bechdel test? You know the Bechdel test?
Which one?
It's when like a story has to have two female characters talking to each other about anything not concerning a man.
Okay.
So the Jesus story had two female characters. They didn't talk at all.
No. No.
Okay, moving on.
There was some voyeurism there. There was
Something.
Some other perverse
Something
things.
happened. And then moving on. That story, if you don't know what we're talking about, is a story about where Jesus sucked cum out of somebody. So moving on.
Boy, Jesus. It's at the end of the last episode, and we're very sorry about it.
We mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, you're up there, Hoss.
Oh, it's my turn. Fuck me. Save the planet. Kill yourself. This is the slogan of the Church of Euthanasia.
Oh, really? I thought you were just talking to me.
Nope.
I was going to say, dude, that's kind of mean, but okay.
The Church of Euthanasia was founded in 1992 by artist, musician, and...
What's the cutoff
What?
to be considered a euthanasia?
There's like a Jared Fogle-ass question, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now
I
that
gotta know before my trip out there.
Now that bad joke's out of the way. So the Church of Euthanasia was founded by a woman named Chris Korda as an antinatalist activist organization. As stated on its website.
So they're anti-baby?
Anti-birthing. Anti-people. Anti-birth. Anti-life.
Okay.
The Church of Euthanasia
If the babies just pop up out of the ground, that's fine?
No, not good either. No people.
Okay. What about baby animals?
They're fine.
Okay.
They're good. It's humans. This is okay.
Fair.
So the Church of
I'm with it so far.
Church of Euthanasia is founded in 1992 by Chris Korda. It states on its website, it is a non-profit educational foundation devoted to restoring balance between humans and the remaining species on Earth.
Okay.
Right? Its members affirm that this can only turn into a reality by a massive voluntary population reduction.
Jesus.
Which will depend on a leap in human consciousness to species awareness. According to Korda, it is likely that this church is the world's only anti-human religion.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably.
So if you see any video of Chris Korda's trans. She's got like a Ghost World bob, like a Betty Boop sort of like short bob,
Okay.
and like thick glasses, and is just vehemently screaming like "Eat a fetus" in front of government buildings. Like she's fucking,
All right.
she's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
and
It's not going to get you listened to by a bunch of people.
no, it was very popular. It was a very popular movement. But so like kind of spawning off of what I was saying about the occult being like just the dark and creepy elements of things, or like the countering of your standard religions. The Church of Euthanasia comes up as a response to what you would consider like consumerist culture surrounding religion. You know, like the response to anti-abortion activities being so vehement that, you know, anyone who's pro-abortion could be considered evil.
Right.
Right. The response from the other side is
I don't
just
like that. I don't know that I love the term pro-abortion. I don't think anybody's pro-abortion. I don't think anybody's like, yeah, let's get pregnant so I can abort it.
That is not what pro-abortion would mean at all.
Yeah.
What is the better term?
Pro-choice.
Okay. I'm pro that anyway.
In all aspects, yeah. I just anytime I hear the term pro-abortion,
pro-choice is just
used,
such a fucking pussy way to say it, though. It's such bullshit. It's like, oh, I'm pro-choice. Like, I think that you should be able to choose white wine or red. It's like, no, I want you to be able to remove a fetus from a womb.
Sure.
Like, and it should be stated that the pro-choice that I am is like, I am pro-choice in the way that I am pro the choice to have an abortion.
Right.
Why just cut the word out? That is such pussy fucking wordplay.
Because anybody that I know who's ever had an abortion has always struggled with the idea, and it's never like just a simple. I mean, usually not just a simple cut and dry. Like, all right, let's do it. I'm a big abortion guy. Let's just fucking have an abortion.
Yeah, but nobody's saying it like that.
That's what I'm saying. So, by the way, the part of the reason why I don't love that term is because it's used frequently by the sort of pro-life side. That, you know, they use it as like a a term to be like, oh, these people are pro-abortion, like as if everybody's like on the sidelines, like, yeah,
Well, that's just
abortion.
that's
fuck
just
yeah.
poorly understood. I am pro-abortion.
Mm-hmm.
That means I support the existence of abortions. They should be there. They should be there for medical reasons or personal choices. But in general, I'm pro the existence of this thing.
Okay.
Right? Am I pro therapeutic abortion? Me? I mean, fucking yeah, I am. But not everybody.
now you're just
saying pro-abortion doesn't
Yeah.
include caveats like
now
that.
you're just splitting hairs in the other direction.
Exactly. So, fucking just generalizing to the point of being like, I'm pro-choice. Like, I'm not mad at people for saying that, but like, give me a fucking break.
I think because it's easy to turn the term pro-abortion on its ear to make it sound like
if you let it
something
be
more
so.
devious.
Like, one of the worst things about the and I don't consider myself a liberal. I'm a much more radical character than that. But like, I've always said that the continuing regression of like letting language be taken or weaponized against you, but not like retorting with it, is ridiculous and weak. It's just like a weak way to do things.
Now I know why you say the N-word so much.
No, it's not. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, Riley will not be. He calls gay people the F word. Calls black people the N-word. He will not be kept in a cage. He's taking it back.
All I'm trying to say is that this organization, the Church of Euthanasia, stands on the same kind of principles.
He shakes pregnant women in the street. He's like, "Oh, abortion! I love it! Woo!"
I am pro-abortion. I stand with that. That's where I stand.
Okay.
Like, yes, of course I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-choice everything. Everyone is a nation unto themselves and should be able to choose their own destinies.
I would agree.
I agree with that. That's what pro-choice should be. I believe in choices, but like, just like, you should,
to an extent,
should be able to choose. Choose what? Raisin cookies or chocolate chip cookies? Yeah, you should be able to choose that. But like,
I choose raisin at the moment.
Why did we narrow the fucking term pro-choice into just abortion? It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous place to put it. It's insane. It's like it would be closer and more realistic to say I'm pro killing babies than just to say pro-choice. Pro-choice is so broad. And of course that's incorrect.
Drew, isolate that a little bit later. Thank you.
We talk about killing babies on this shit all the time. Fuck. I'm going to be politically correct on my own podcast. Suck my dick. What am I doing this for? In any case, this is the same sort of sentiment that Chris Korda had, right?
Okay.
I mean, this is already the child of like a pretty famed author and a historical writing author. I can't remember the name of her father, but
Chris Korda's father.
Chris Korda's father is.
When was this Church of Euthanasia founded?
1992.
Okay. Huh.
Chris Korda was born in 1962. American artist, electronic musician, software developer, and environmental activist. A family had intellectual and artistic background. Korda is the daughter of Michael Korda, who is the author of several books, including books on like fucking Eisenhower and shit like that. Historical writings.
Historical nonfiction. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So there's a pretty intellectualized process growing up.
Probably, yeah.
And then being trans on top of that. There are, as anyone who's even a little punk rock knows, you can either like quietly assimilate into things or you can come in with a bang. And Chris Korda's like, I'm gonna fucking
sounds like, yeah.
I'm just gonna
she chose the latter.
Do it. Exactly. So the most popular slogan that the Church of Euthanasia has, and this is an activist group that is shock and awe, right? Like they protest in front of fucking everything.
Okay.
They'll protest in front of the policeman's ball. They'll protest at the NAACP. They'll protest like to counter Christian activists at like abortion rallies and things like that.
Sure.
The most popular slogan is "Save the planet, kill yourself." And its founding ideology is set in one commandment: "Thou shalt not procreate."
Okay.
Right? There are four main pillars to the Church of Euthanasia.
Wowzers.
And mind you, we can say this is a religion because it is a recognized church with a doctrine.
Okay.
Right? And according to Chris Korda, has led to the suicide of several members. So there's stakes. There's stakes here.
Cool.
The four pillars of the Church of Euthanasia are suicide, optional but encouraged. Abortion may be required to avoid procreation.
Okay.
Cannibalism,
Holy shit.
mandatory if you insist on eating flesh, but only if someone is already dead.
All right.
And sodomy, any sexual act not intended for procreation.
Sweet God.
So it includes, mouth banging, nose boinking, titty fucking, hand jacking, yorking and porking,
And the butt stuff.
the pork and beans, butt stuff, ears.
Huh. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in this religion.
Well, the church stresses population reduction by voluntary means only, right? It rejects murder and eugenics. Like, no, we're not fucking killing large swaths of people.
Okay.
But the idea is, please kill yourself. Please don't have babies and please die. That's
Right.
And this is a
And if
form
somebody
of
you know dies, go ahead and eat them.
yeah, they have to be dead already. But yeah, that's fine.
Right.
It's good because then you're not eating anything else. You're just fucking
Take a
eating
bite.
them. Yeah, people suck. So fucking eat them. Whatever. Right. The church promotes its environmental views. They also utilize sermons, art performances, public demonstrations.
What are their views on post-mortem sodomy?
I don't know if that's explicitly stated, but I think that they'd be open.
Probably
to it.
okay with it.
I mean, open to it.
Seems like they're very okay with a lot of wild
I
shit.
bet you if you asked Chris Corda if she'd be into postmortem sodomy, she'd be like, yeah, cool.
As long as you eat part of me.
Yeah, it's eat my leg and then bang my dead butt.
Oh my God.
And like that, you think I'm saying anything inflammatory? Let me give you some more of the slaggins, some more of the slogans from these motherfuckers. All right, save the planet, kill yourself. 6 billion humans can't be wrong, just based on the fact that they're all going to die. And eat a queer fetus for Jesus.
Holy shit. Fucking hell.
So they do
Eat a queer fetus
for Jesus. Yeah, and this is something that they would wave outside of like abortion rallies and shit, and
This is
right
like
in the face of Christian activists.
Right. This is like the total opposite of what's that Westboro church that goes to the
Yeah, those fucking the extremists,
soldiers that God hates
Westboro guys, yeah.
fags.
Exactly. It's the
and
exact.
I'm saying that to quote
it is the
what their
exact
flag
antithesis
said.
of that, and that is exactly where you get the occult religion mix-up angle to this, because this would be considered a cult because it is using religion specifically as this sort of thing.
I mean, listen, when you go so far in one direction, it's hard to really pick up a lot of traction with like 90% of the people that see what you're doing.
I wanted to make a joke about One Direction so bad, but I don't know any of the fucking people that are in that band. I was gonna be like, that's what it said, but I
Jimmy,
think I was thinking about the
the
Jonas
hot one.
Brothers. I don't know any of these fucking kids. But yeah, it's like, well, that super far surge to the left, I guess you could say, of like the religious stance on things. Right. It sends you into a more it got so far past a humanistic stance, because I consider myself a humanist, being like non-religious. I'll put myself in the humanist area because I love people and I would like for us to do better.
Sure.
Whereas as Chris Corda and this church go like, no, fuck people. They're the worst. Need die.
It sounds like Chris Corda's got some shit that maybe she should talk with a therapist about.
I think this is therapy.
This is her therapy.
This is the therapy for this.
Eat a fetus for Jesus.
Yeah,
motherfucker.
eat a queer fetus. Yeah, fuck you.
That's right, a queer fetus. God.
Yeah, the Church of Euthanasia is also notorious for its conflicts with anti-abortion Christian activists. In its heyday, the Church of Euthanasia claimed hundreds of official members and thousands of subscribers. Since 2015, the group has become idle, but their website remains online as an archive. Their website is where we found that lovely video that I sent to you guys last night.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday.
That was this morning. Was that this morning, Drew?
You might have caught it this morning when you woke up. I hope you caught it when you woke up.
Was it last night?
What was the video where I believe it was a video done by Robert Kimberg, also known as Pastor Kim, wherein Pastor Kim masturbates to the World Trade Center.
The World Trade Center being on fire.
Being, World Trade Centered, and intercuts it with pornographic videos of
ladies being
finished
upon on their
come upon, and that's pretty much it. There's some music.
Like weird electronic music.
Actually, I think I'm gonna try and play real quick just a sample.
It was weird electronic music interspersed with scenes
heavy
from
pornographic imagery. One particular one that's really, really striking in my mind is the actual like World Trade Center, like the towers on fire, and then a woman's face being superimposed next to it, licking it.
Right.
When like obviously like, in a pornographic act, because she'd be licking a
She
wiener.
would be licking a penis.
Yeah,
yes.
hard weenie.
But yeah, there's this weird electronic music, and then scenes from 9/11 interspersed with like just dudes doing
The
final shots on ladies' faces.
Let's see if this plays. Hold on.
And it was
Try and get this in here.
Very, very strange video. And Drew and I both were like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, that's the music.
That wasn't quite the video I was trying to send, but you get it.
It's a strange vibe for sure.
I put my hand in my pocket. What do I feel? 110 stories of concrete and steel. I like to watch.
What the fuck? That's weird.
I put my hand in my pocket. What do I feel? 110 stories of concrete and steel. I like to watch.
God almighty.
Oh, there's also like some sports imagery in there. But that's the kind of shit you find on the website for the Church of Euthanasia, along with Chris Corda's multiple electronic music projects, some like fanzines, a lot of...
It seems like it's maybe just a really weird, like, Upper East Side rich kid art project.
Yeah, it does have that sort of thing. But it was officially recognized as a church in 1995.
Well, that's just for tax purposes.
Well,
baby.
for tax purposes, yeah, but I mean that puts you right there. The church gained early attention in 95 because of its affiliation with Paranoia.com, which hosted many sites that were controversial or just plain illegal. It was kind of like a Rotten.com sort of situation back in the day. You know, a lot of perversity, sexual deviancy, violence, things like that. Members later appeared on an episode of The Jerry Springer Show.
Oh, boy.
Titled, "I Want to Join a Suicide Cult." Which is fun. That episode is available online. Following the September...
Did you watch it?
I watched some of it.
Okay.
How to describe...
Jerry Springer.
Jerry wasn't a fan.
No shit.
Following the September 11th attacks, the church posted on its website a 4-minute music video titled "I Like to Watch," combining hardcore pornography with footage of the attacks and the collapse of the World Trade Center.
How long after?
That was... it said following. I'm going to say weeks. Over the video played an electronic soundtrack recorded by...
You guys haven't seen
Chris
the video.
Corda.
I have not.
Lyrics like, people dive into the street
Not a very
while I play
sensitive
with
move.
my meat. My steel melted and my tower's coming down is like the last thing that they say. After the video of the actual... the pastor splurting.
God damn.
Yorkin and porkin. So it... And then he cleans himself up with the American flag. Like, this isn't... I'm not making any of this up. This is a nationally recognized religion.
Jesus.
And like, Corda described this project as reflecting her contempt for and frustration with the profound ugliness of the modern industrial world. And on an artistic sense, I understand it.
Yeah, but
I understand it completely.
From an art place,
because it evokes
yeah.
a sort of like, oh, this is fucking disgusting. But it also, much like... All right, you ever listen to that Tool album, 10,000 Days? It was like it was like the next run. Like there were like 9 years between Tool albums,
Yeah,
and then
it was
fucking.
yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But there's a song on there called...
It's a Tool album. They're all the same. You hear one, you've heard them all.
I think there's a song on there called Vicarious.
Uh-huh.
That is, the lyrics are about somebody watching television specifically for violent news stories and things, because vicariously he gets to live while the whole world's dying around him.
Yeah, that's not a new concept.
No, it's
That's
very common. Yeah, lots of movies, lots of media.
The media runs almost exclusively on it.
Yeah, the Nightcrawler, Jake Gyllenhaal. So that's... Have you not seen Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal?
not. You should
Watch
know
a
the answer.
fucking movie,
Nope,
Patrick.
I won't do it.
Jesus Christ. This whole fucking podcast is just me being like, hey, have you seen that? And you being like, no, I don't watch fucking stupid movies.
This is why the next podcast idea has to be you and I, because it works too well.
And that'll just be movies.
Yeah, and the podcast idea that you have, which we're not gonna announce right now.
It's gonna be called "Hey, have you seen this?" No, starring Riley and Patrick. But yeah, like the contempt for and frustration with the profound ugliness of the modern industrial world is like that pairs very well with this this sort of bombastic punk rock sentiment of like screaming in the streets, virile activism.
Listen, from an art perspective, I get it because good art is typically very in your face, sort of bold like that.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how you do stuff,
And that's
right?
why I said this feels very like rich kid Upper East Side sort of art house project.
And even pushing it that far is artistic in itself. Look,
Which
like,
even going, okay, now we're gonna make it a religion is also kind of like
it's kind of fucking cool. Yeah, but it's also gross.
Yeah.
And I like
just maxing out the RPMs on this thing.
I could not have more respect for that sort of like gonzo fucking madness sort of activism stuff, but it's also revolting.
Absolutely.
Like that's and I respect that as well because getting me to be revolted is not an easy thing to do. Like going that extra mile to actually make me fucking uncomfortable is really hard.
Making you uncomfortable with the raunchy stuff. There are lots of things that happen on a daily basis that make you uncomfortable.
I would say I am more uncomfortable with like the consumerist media take on 9/11 than I am with this video. Like I'm serious. Like but the video itself does make me uncomfortable because I have been privy to that consumerist horror.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
So like there's a high-minded fucking art dickhead take on all of this. Even being on fucking Jerry Springer.
Even it's so like trying to look at this in an even-keeled way because it should offend me just as much as lots of other things offend me, and it doesn't because I do have sort of a bias, even if I try not to. But I mean, if I'm trying to look at this from this just sort of non-biased place, even-keeled place, it's just as bad as lots of other things that piss me off and worse than some things that piss me off. It's just coming from a place that I'm just like, oh, it's artsy.
Yeah, but I would say that the revulsion I feel watching this kind of stuff is not even reactionary. It's just like, ugh, it's gross. Because intellectually, I find it bothersome too. I mean, like, I have a fucking podcast where I just talk about dicks, butts, and cum all the time. Mm-hmm. And I still think of myself as kind of classy, you know? And compared to a lot of this shit, that you can see on TV.
I got something to tell you, Riley.
I was saying, like, I find this sort of stuff very
classy ship left a long time ago.
Listen, yes,
and
I
you're
understand.
Still on the dock waving.
It's extremely vulgar and crass, but like the crass that the Church of Euthanasia brings forth is like, wow, now that's some shit. Eat a queer fetus for Jesus that's heavy business. And I love it. I love that they're doing that. That's gnarly
and the reason why I think that this seems more like a trashy art house project is that anybody with a lick of fucking common sense is going to say, we're not going to convert anybody to our way of thinking.
No, of course not. Because the conversion idea is it's obviously never been.
It's a shock and awe thing.
Yeah, it's always been more of like Satanic Temple does. It's more of like, hey, look at us fucking upset these fucking squares over here.
Yeah.
You know, like, but then like the virulent Christians who are shouting vitriolic, you know, like sluts burn in hell or God hates fags.
Going to a military funeral with a fucking sign that says God hates fags.
Horrifying.
Which is insane.
Exactly. Those people.
It's the same thing.
Those people deserve that exact form of reactionary
it's the
sentiment.
Same thing. Yeah.
I mean, I would say so far as violence, but that's me being me, you know.
And that's where I was kind of going before is like obviously the Westboro Baptist Church shit bothers me way more.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, every time I see videos of that shit, I want to react violently.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, God forbid I'm standing there, I'm putting one of those fucking signs up someone's ass or down their throat or both.
When there were the protests for Confederate monument removal and stuff downtown St. Augustine some years ago. Was that 2020?
Something like that.
What a fucking year. But there's a video of like a grown man like pouring some alcoholic drink in like a little black girl's face. And I'm saying little girl, but she was like 16 or 17, and she was just holding up like a power fist. And this guy's fucking throwing like a drink in her face. And this is in my town. And I saw that video, like the rage I felt. If I had been there, and I'm not saying like,
something over his
if I had been there, no, I'd have made a very bad rash decision that would have escalated
absolutely.
quickly. Like I know myself.
I would even if I got fucking jumped, I would fucking go ballistic.
I couldn't stop myself from that. You know, there's actually my wife wouldn't let me go to any of those protests because I have those reactions.
I don't go to those protests because same. But like I was saying, if I'm looking at it from a completely unbiased, because some people are more to the right of me, some people are more to the left of me. Wherever I fall is nobody's fucking business.
Would it be
But-
clowns or jokers?
What?
Well, you said there were
Clowns to the left of me,
you.
jokers to the right.
Yeah, here we are. You know.
Stuck in the middle with clowns and jokers.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how that song goes.
So again, trying to look at it from a completely unbiased place, right? Both sides are sort of, you can't make excuses for that behavior, regardless of, and I tend to be like, kind of artsy, fucking weird.
I would love
like-
I would love to just be like, hey, we both just stop being fucking dickheads about
Right.
everything.
That
you know?
and that really is where it's to be inflammatory. And at the end of the day, we live in a fucking society.
it's
like quit it.
already so
Quit it.
fucking insanely inflammatory every day with everything right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, mind you, this is the '90s, so it was a little more like shock and awe because it was '90s.
Oh
but,
boy, yeah.
But circa, fucking pretty much right after 9/11, that inflammatory shit doesn't really work anymore because
Yeah.
everything's insane.
Just quit, yeah, and everything's so goddamn politicized, and it is what it is. But yeah, it would be nice if more people just fucking quit it.
Yeah, just fucking chill out, guys.
You're not gonna change anybody's mind with that shit. You
Well-
probably won't change anybody's mind with just basic, decent, rational conversation. So just either live your fucking life and don't talk to them, or accept that that's who they are and deal with it.
Well,
Like-
the Church of Euthanasia didn't just do these protests, though. They started getting a little more, how might I say?
Murdery?
Not murdery.
With suicide,
Killy, I guess.
killy, and murdery, I feel like are the same thing. Are they not?
Well, there's a moralistic standpoint. All right, if you're killing somebody with your own hands, that's murdery. Otherwise, you're just a helping voice on the phone. When they started
Oh
their
my
suicide hotline,
God.
so when the Church of Euthanasia started their suicide assistance hotline and advertised it on several billboards around the Los Angeles area.
Jesus.
Chris Corda is said that they had personally assisted upwards of 10 to 15 people in committing suicide over the phone, which again is an unfounded statistic, but also a number that makes you go, that could be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If she had said 800 people, then I'd be
Yeah,
like,
that's like
shut
no
up."
fuck with like 15 people. If you have a big billboard in Los Angeles, yeah, okay, I can see that.
I don't like that at all.
The church's instructions on how to kill yourself by asphyxiation with helium were removed from its website in 2003 after a 52-year-old woman used them and died by suicide in St. Louis,
Oh my God.
resulting in some threats against the organization. So the Church of Euthanasia, I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick because
I want to interject real quick just to say I am the first person who will say the fucking earth is overpopulated. This planet was not meant to deal with the shit that it's dealing with right now, especially in terms of how the fuck we treat it. And we could stand to like lose a bunch of people, but like this is taking it to a level that even I'm like, nah, you can't do that. That's too much, man.
So, all right, I'm going to give you a brief history of the Church of Euthanasia as stated on the website.
Okay.
Which has been static since 2015 and gets very minimal updates, but
Right,
it's
so
still
for 10 years.
It's still preserved as like, what do you say? Like a heritage thing. I don't know.
like a history.
Yeah, it's like a
of-
history of, yeah. So a brief history of the Church of Euthanasia. The Church of Euthanasia was inspired by a dream in which Reverend Chris Corda confronted an alien intelligence known as the Being, who speaks for the inhabitants of Earth in other dimensions. The Being warned that our planet's ecosystem is failing and that our leaders deny this. The Being asked why our leaders lie to us and why so many of us believe these lies. Reverend Corda awoke from the dream, moaning the church's infamous slogan, "Save the planet, kill yourself." Every aspect of the deepening global environmental crisis, including climate change, poisoning of the water and atmosphere, reduction of biodiversity, and topsoil erosion, directly results from the overabundance of a single species, Homo sapiens. Hard to
Agree.
argue with.
Agree.
The human population is increasing by 1 million every 4 days, which is more now because it was 10 years ago,
Right.
according to the Washington-based Population Reference Bureau. This is a net increase of 95 million per year, the current population of Mexico. Even a major war or epidemic hardly dents the rate of growth, and modern wars have tremendous environmental consequences. It is for these practical reasons, as well as moral ones, that euthanasians
Okay.
support only voluntary forms of population reduction, including suicide, free abortion, and sodomy, which they define as any sexual act not intended for procreation. They are also fiercely vegetarian and support cannibalism for those who insist on eating flesh. So their tenet there is like, if you're going to eat meat, make it human meat. Sounds
Which
just
is,
like,
again,
make it
just
human meat.
Which is, again, just a really inflammatory way to make your point that people shouldn't eat meat.
Absolutely. The planet is...
you want to eat meat? Why don't you eat a fucking human?
Eat this meat. The planet is a
Hey,
living...
whoa, wait. All I said was you should put my meat in your mouth. What are you getting all fucking offended for?
The planet is a living, breathing organism and is capable of defending itself if necessary. The church hopes to avoid the suffering this would entail by achieving a massive leap of consciousness in which human beings begin to think of themselves not as individuals belonging to races or nation states, but as a species. This species awareness would be the first step towards what biodiversity author and population expert Paul Ehrlich calls our absolute responsibility to protect what are only known living companions in the universe.
Wowzers.
Yeah, so that's their mission statement as well as some of their history.
I think Reverend Chris Corda was maybe coming down off an acid trip when she had that dream.
Possibly several. But real quick, just at the end here, I'm going to give you some of their sister organizations.
Okay.
All right. The Voluntary Human Extinction Movement.
All right.
Their slogan is, "May we live long and die out." Gaia Liberation Front.
Okay.
The humans must be completely exterminated.
Oh, boy.
Globally Responsible Birthing. They want the births less than deaths by 2003. So
Right.
more
Negative
more
population
deaths than babies.
Right,
yeah.
negative population
And then
growth.
finally, the Unabomber Political Action Committee
Holy shit.
runs the elusive Luddites presidential writing campaign.
Okay.
There's a lot on here. I would encourage anyone that wants to do this. I mean, to view this.
I was going to say, do what?
See how
These to our listeners,
please don't kill yourself.
don't kill yourself.
I'm not into that.
If you need somebody to talk to,
In fact,
Delete Everything podcast
specifically, one of the things I did for research for this was I listened to another podcast. It's called the Pansci podcast.
I don't know.
Pull it up real quick. Sorry, fucking.
Real talk though, listen, I'm not actually joking here. If you feel that way about things in life and all that, you should send us a message. I'll talk to you. I'll make a joke. That's all.
Anyway, I can't find out what it is, but it's the Panpsych podcast, I think it was called. And they did a 2-part deep dive into the morality of euthanasia on multiple fronts, whether it be, very old people who voluntarily want to expire, assisted suicide.
I think that should 100% be legal.
Well, see, they did a deep dive into the internal philosophical morality inherent in this.
We have on a couple of things that have come up in this episode that are on our list. One is Satanic Panic in the 80s, and then also Jack Kevorkian's on our long list of things that will come up at some point.
Yeah, it's all coming together. Mm-hmm. Eventually, we'll do all the history. But the discussion on the morality
Any day now
and the ethical methods of euthanasia was varied, and there were multiple different methods. There was like hands-on or like applied euthanasia, where you actually inject someone who's unconscious, or just hands-off euthanasia, like the Terry Schiavo case in the early 2000s,
right.
if you remember that, where they literally just let this person starve to death by disconnecting them, which seems wrong to me. But that's where the moral aspect of the whole thing comes in. Like, what is more ethical?
Well, and then is
it to like let go and let God, or to actually participate with your own hands? And that's where the Kevorkian argument comes
suicide machine, which is kind of a workaround, which is like, I'm not going to do
it.
I'm
not doing it, but
if I rig up a machine where you can inject yourself.
Yeah, my mom gave Jack Kevorkian a ride home from the grocery store one time.
I thought you were going to say hand job.
Hi, Mom. So there's a lot to
I'm sorry I said that.
in like Sweden or whatnot. Maybe, yeah, whatever. So I think it's Sweden that has.
Mom, will you let us know if you ever get mad at me?
She will. I think, but they have a thing. I think it's called Dignitas. That's just a poison, essentially, like an opiate distillate poison that you have like a representative of the government bring to you. And you, like, in your home with
loved ones
around.
It just sounds like something that's on, like, some collegiate coat of arms.
Dignitas. Yeah, but it's you drink it, and a few minutes later, you slip away peacefully. There's a video online you can watch of it that I have seen that is less chilling, less heartbreaking. It's certainly not joyous. It's a very sad thing to watch.
There are days where I think I would gladly chug a fucking gallon of it.
Right. But, I mean, it's like the video that you can find of this is just an old man who's getting worse with an illness, and he's like, he's in like his mind is there. He's just like, yeah, before it gets terrible, I'd like to just do this.
Yeah, and it's
he
crazy to me to think that, and this goes back to religion, that people can't just make that decision.
Right. And having the dignity therein of just like a representative brought it to him and explained everything. He's like, you have any questions? I'll be right here for you.
Yeah.
His wife held
just
his
like
hand.
any other medical procedure.
Yeah, his wife held his hand. He wore like regular human clothes and was on the couch and drank this shit. And
What
then,
kind of clothes should he
I mean, he
wear?
wasn't wearing like a fucking hospital gown or some shit. It wasn't like, I'm in my hospital bed.
Right.
He was at his home with his wife and he drank this and very peacefully passed away. And it was a very emotional thing to watch. I'll say that. Like I'd never seen. I've seen horrifying videos on the internet, of course, but like that was it was a special thing to see, and I'm still processing it. And it was years ago.
I feel like psychologically there's a very different thing than watching someone accidentally get
like fucking
killed.
car accident or some shit. Yeah. No,
versus somebody who has clearly thought about this.
The intention,
and made a decision to just
the intention.
That's. I mean, psychologically,
the intention of it was
rough,
was really heavy, and it was, and again, like I wouldn't call it a beautiful thing to watch, but it was sad. Not bad though.
Yeah,
good, sad, good. I don't know, but but that also that's the moral angle because that's an assisted suicide. In those same countries, they do not allow like physical euthanasia. Like if someone is unconscious or in a vegetative state. The country does not allow the administration of euthanasic drugs.
Right.
But they do like disconnections, and they'll just let someone die of starvation. So like, where do your ethics lie?
Yeah, it's a strange
one. And the Church of Euthanasia might say, I don't care, just fucking kill them all.
I think it's established they would definitely
and
say
then
that.
play some more terrible techno music. Chris Corda, come on.
You describing that video is still kind of like I've never thought about just sort of because as someone with like this sort of overdeveloped sense of empathy to watch that just sounds nightmarish to watch somebody square with the fact that okay I'm going to drink this and I'm going to die.
You want to know who else is affiliated with the clergy of the Church of Euthanasia?
Well, we still have one more religion to get to.
I know, but you just one
Twinkle
person you may have heard of actually. Okay. Do you remember the perpetually presidentially running Vermin Supreme?
Yes.
Vermin Supreme is a media activist, bad-tempered clown, dental hygiene advocate, perennial presidential hopeful, and all-around celebrity. He joined the Church of Euthanasia in 1997 and has been known to squirt Christians in the face with a penis-shaped water pistol.
Wouldn't be terribly upset if he went ahead and took care of the problem.
Hey, Hey, Vermin. But okay. So
practice what you preach, Vermin. Actually, I don't know enough about that dude to like care.
He's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. He's a shock guy. He's just keeping
trolling.
attention on things, which is more important than not, I suppose. But anyway, there's the interesting and worth contemplating Church of Euthanasia.
All right.
I'm gonna pass it back to Patrick.
Hey-o. Okay, so for our last one, I had originally chosen a different religion, as you know, but then I got to thinking, this is going to be a bit of a series, right? We're going to do an anthology. We're going to do at least 2 or 3 more of these moving forward, right? If not more than 2 or 3. We've got a list, I think, long enough to do 4 of these, right? So it would seem strange if we were to skip the weirdest religion that seems to be attempting to legitimize itself in recent years. And not doing it on the first episode of the series seems kind of weird since it's probably the one with the biggest following. And I'll be fucking damned if I legitimize it by leaving it completely off the list. So I put the other weird religion back in the bucket and I decided that we kind of have to talk about Scientology.
Dun, 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 dun.
As much as I fucking hate it, we have to talk about Scientology. And by the way, everything that I said about Christianity last episode, where I was going to attempt to be respectful and respect people's beliefs.
We did a great job
on them.
We did a fucking
feeling differently.
Great job.
That is completely out the window because that's how much I despise Scientology. So I am going to shit all over it with no fucking care whatsoever.
Scientology sucks cum.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fuck Scientology, Jesus.
So obviously Scientology is a fairly well-known topic. You know, there's certainly been a decent amount of coverage on it, documentaries. I'm sure there have been podcast episodes. What's that loud pretty lady from King of Queens? She did a whole
Leah Remini.
Yeah, she did a whole mini series on it.
There's what's Aftermath, Escaping from Scientology.
Maybe, yeah. I remember watching part of it.
Do you know about the response that she got from that?
The typical Scientologist
Dude,
response,
fucking
which
death
is
threats, like mass mailing. Her parents, her actual parents, came out and did another documentary called After Cash. Wherein they were just like, yeah, Leah Remini's a fucking traitor. She turned in her family for money. This bitch.
her actual family.
Yeah, like her parents.
Or are her parents Scientologists?
Yeah, that's what she came out of Scientology because she was raised in it.
Oh,
Yeah. They were like, oh, she got on TV, made some fucking money, and now she's a traitorous whore. Like it was heavy too. They critique her entire life and like break down like her relationships with old boyfriends and shit. Like,
Jesus,
dude, crazy shit. And it's like she did that documentary that's just like, yeah, they're crazy, intense, and cultish. Then the response was crazy and intense and cultish.
That falls under a actual term. So we're gonna get into this because Scientology has all these little fucking terms, and it pisses me off. But there is a term called fair game, which is basically targeting people doing fucked up shit. That's when you see like, you know, people who have been outspoken against Scientology come outside and there's just some guy standing across the street with a camera filming them 24/7.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's like, I'm not on your property.
Yeah,
I'm on public property.
Like retaliatory shit like
right,
that. Yeah.
Right. And that's a big fucking thing. The whole dude, oh God, Scientology's a fucking fuck sandwich, and I
what's their term for Yorking it?
I don't know. Give me 20 minutes and I'll come up with a good one. So anyway.
Cruising it.
Cruising it. Cruising for a bruising.
So first and foremost, my first thing right out the gates with Scientology is
weird, ew, gross.
the whole goddamn thing is based off the writings of a shitty science fiction author. Right?
Yeah, it's
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard, who's classically known as one of the dumbest goddamn writers ever.
Whose first name, by the way, is Lafayette.
That's what.
And so that's what I'm calling him from here on out.
Lafayette Ron.
Lafayette. See,
his name's Lafayette Ron.
Listen. See how many fucking documentaries and shit have been done about Scientology?
You don't understand.
And you're just now finding out
Dude, you don't understand.
that his name is fucking Lafayette. You always learn something on this show.
I grew up in Detroit. Lafayette is a popular avenue in the area.
Everywhere.
It's a small township. It's everywhere. Like the word Lafayette. Because
I grew up a few hours away from Lafayette.
Oh yeah, fucking because you're
yeah.
Louisiana, so you get it, right? So Lafayette Ron sounds like the fucking cheesiest used car salesman you've ever heard. Hey, come on down to Lafayette Ron's. We'll set you up we got a 94 Chevy Subaru.
Yeah, his first name is Lafayette. And like I said, that's the type of crack fucking research our team here at Delete Everything does. You've never known this, no matter, I don't care how much you've seen about Scientology. You never knew his name was Lafayette Ron.
You know what they
Hubbard.
call him in the church? They call him Ron.
They call him Ron.
Ron. Yeah. Like they pray to him as
By the way,
Ron.
His name was Lafayette Ronald Hubbard, which
he abbreviated his middle name.
He abbreviated the whole fucking thing.
Oh.
He was like, I don't like Lafayette. And I was just, well, can we call you Ronald? No, I don't like Ronald either.
L. Ron.
L. Ron. Fucking. And I'm a science fiction writer, and now I'm gonna somehow abbreviate my name to sound like a weird alien guy.
I want to call him
L.
Lafayette.
Ron. Hello, I am L. Ron. From the planet blah, 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 blah.
the Council of Elron.
Okay.
You shall be the Fellowship of Dianetics.
You must throw the thetan into the fucking whatever the fuck.
The alien ghost volcano.
Into Xenu's butthole.
I'm going to call him Lafayette Ron from now on.
Lafayette Ron. Yeah. I'm calling him Lafayette for the whole fucking portion of this. So, all right. So in the 50s, Lafayette needed a better source of income than his shitty novels were bringing in. So he wrote Dianetics, which was basically a psychiatric pseudoscience at best. and some like half-assed attempt to sound smart while still being dangerously negligent at worst, right? The basic claim is that your brain has two parts that work separately from one another, your conscious analytical mind and your subconscious reactive mind, right? Now, the reactive mind is where all your traumas and fucked up thoughts and all that shit live. And you need, quote unquote, auditor to help you find the source of these things and erase them, right? That's the basic premise. So Lafayette starts promoting this new therapy in the 50s, quote unquote therapy, and pretty immediately is shunned by the scientific community for being a total fucking hack.
That reminds me of somebody else we covered.
Yeah. No shit, right? And
Lafayette and Wilhelm.
Yeah, right. And he ends up going bankrupt. So what do you do, Riley, when you can't convince people that your product is science?
Oh, you convince them that it's a religion.
Yeah. You make it a religion. You can't use scientific method on religion, baby.
It doesn't work that way.
You got to take that shit on faith. Plus, sweet fucking tax
money.
exemption, baby.
You make
That
so much more
sweet
money with
tax
religion.
Exemption. So, right out the gate, the whole Scientology being at war with and trying to discredit medical psychology and psychiatry is like immediately suspect, right?
100%. Yeah.
Like, is it more likely that Lafayette had come up with a new form of therapy and was laughed at by the entire fucking psychiatric community because they just didn't like him and they were picking on him? Or is it more likely that it was some pseudoscientific bullshit and he got laughed out of town, and now this is just his fucking tiny dick effort to like get back at, I'm going to get back at him with my religion.
I actually have another take that I've had on Scientology for a long time.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little bit of a writer, failed writer, you might say.
I'm Lafayette Ronald Hubbard, damn it. They're gonna take me seriously.
Well, there's this thing, especially with science fiction writing, that like you start to think you're right about the stuff that you're writing all the time.
The fictional, fantastical things that you make up.
Like maybe not necessarily his whole like, alien ghost angle, but think about like Dianetics, right? You know, to be a writer, you have to consider yourself pretty analytical, you know, able to discern truths that you can deliver to people in your writing. Mm-hmm. You know, so like the Dianetics thing is like he's just observing, man. He's just looking at the world and he sees, he writes it down, and then, hey, people seem to like it.
Jesus Christ.
You know, and like, you know, that ego boost of being like, yeah, I am right. People think I'm right. I'm right.
Why should he have an ego boost? He was never a successful author.
Well, then Dianetics.
Until he made a religion.
Right, exactly.
Which, by the way, it also explains the use of the word science in the name, right?
Science.
It might not look legitimate, but goddamn it, it sounds legitimate.
It's not just tology, okay? It's science-tology.
So, real quick, let's wade into the kooky before we wade into the controversies, right? So for starters,
you wrote that down and it sounded really cool when you wrote it.
Yeah.
And it still was pretty cool when you said it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Wade into the kooky before we wade into the controversy. Like that's a B-rate fucking like cool thing to say, but it was pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it.
I have to. So I frequently write my jokes in like shorthand my jokes into here because when I'm writing all these notes, I think of hilarious jokes and I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm going to remember this in real time. So I'll just like shorthand, like, right? That way, and I'll put them in parentheses or something. That way I can like, you know, and I just freehand them once I get to them. But at least I have like that little annotated bit where I'm like,
you got it there.
This is the joke and it has something to do with these. So make it snappy, boy.
I always have trouble with that because when I write down large stanzas of things, I get distracted and I lose my place really
That's
easily.
why I don't write the whole joke. I just parenthesize and just do like a quick little abbreviated version, like something that I know will make me remember.
I like write a bunch of stuff and then I listen to a lot of things and watch a lot of like YouTube videos and shit, so that when I lose my place, I can riff for a little while.
Well, sometimes when I get to, there are times because it's the same thing. I have so many, you know, different websites open and videos open and podcasts and shit that I listen to that to get all whatever information I can. Sometimes I get to that little annotated joke and I'm like, what the fuck was I talking about here?
The fuck is
what is that?
Fuck is
so I just
Johnny?
skip it. So I just skip it. So that's why I used to put them in a different colored Like I used to change the color of the text.
Oh, so
I
you'd
could,
like
quick-
goldenrod the jokes so that you could like.
But then I would always do them in red. But then it started fucking me up on like finding my place. Like I'd lose my place very
I
easily.
think anyone that understood my goldenrod reference right there is probably 40. For the kids listening, it used to be that if you had special things in the document you were writing, you'd use a different colored paper,
Yeah.
and the ones that were like gold were very special, and those that type of what's that called? Paper, the fucking
Construction paper.
not the construction paper. It's called
Oh.
the paper, whatever the fucking paper's
Yeah,
called.
the paper.
The paper, but when it was gold, they called it goldenrod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the color.
So goldenrod was, but that's the only way that ever existed. Like if you had a fucking script and you're like, "This is a real important page," it'd be on goldenrod. I know that because I was a newsman in 1931. The Germans are at it again,
I'm Riley Bowen.
coming through on the ticket
Welcome
tape.
to Nightly News. So for starters, first of all, I fucking fail to see how this is even a fucking religion. All right. And and that's not me just being a shit. As far as I can tell, its only function is to take people's money.
That's
And I know what you're going to say. I knew when I wrote it down, I knew what you were going to say, right? It's a business. It's a tax exempt business that preys on people's traumas and insecurities. And even if you fucking say, yeah, so religion, right? That would be fair.
well. Earlier when I was talking about the Church of the Gold or the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn,
Mhm.
you know what their iteration is now?
What?
It's called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn Incorporated.
Listen, if you were to say, yeah, that's religion, that's not unfair to say. But I would also argue that you can be poor and walk into the churches of any major religion, right? And if you believe that you're going to find some sort of peace or salvation there, you can be part of that congregation, right? Even if you're fucking dirt poor. Try being poor.
You have to be pretty poor to fuck dirt.
Try being poor and joining Scientology.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
How are you going to afford the books?
to?
I told this story on the podcast of like I was tired
Yeah.
coming home one day and they caught me with a Thetan
The
reader.
Thetan reader.
Well, like when I
The e-reader, yeah.
I figured out about that and I tried to walk. They tried to sell me on fucking Dianetics, the book, and Scientology shit, and L. Ron Hubbard's like Battlefield Earth and some shit. Like this lady had like, well, we've got these books for sale, and like tried to sell me on like $100 worth of fucking books.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Well,
You eating jerky?
no, it's cookie.
No. Patrick bought
like-
a bunch of snacks today, and
I
it's
did.
very appreciated.
So also, like, who do you pray to? What is your salvation?
Ron.
Some auditor whose whole job is to just con you out of your fucking money?
Well, no, you obviously pray to Ron because he was
I guess so.
a bad Carl Sagan. He was a shitty third-rate Carl Sagan.
Well, but like even though Lafayette's numerous writings are considered, I guess, the scripture of Scientology, those writings aren't something that your run-of-the-mill Scientology practitioner can even get their hands on, right?
Really?
And no, everything is shrouded in mystery, and everything is like this bureaucratic, like fucking tiered system of like who get the only reason we know, and I'm about to get into it, right? The only reason we know about the whole Xenu thing, that whole part of Scientology,
The
Is be-
alien ghost Xenu?
the alien overlord,
Alien overlord.
Mhm.
Yeah. Gotta look out for that guy.
is because that became part of a record for a court case.
So it had to be unsealed.
It had
for,
to be, they had to sort of use it in the court case. So
in cases like Church of Scientology member v. the state of Arkansas.
So, and then like the other thing that pisses me off, like they have, I mentioned it before, these fucking idiotic terms for everything, which like they're not even clever, right? They just sound like fucking nerds.
Because they're a bunch of nerds, bro.
So they call like their little dipshit language, like all these these terms that I'm talking about. Do you know what they call it?
Bing bong.
Scientologies.
Scientologies. What kind of fucking
Which makes
Sims
me wanna
4 party
murder.
pack bullshit is that?
It makes me want to murder everybody. Their term for like applying the practices of Scientology is tech.
Oh, because they're
That's
science.
short for technology.
It's short for technology. What I was laughing at was that Patrick just looked at me like the sauciest little lady.
So, and their term for studying the practices is called study tech.
Oh wow! Hey, that at least is 2 words put together.
And also, here's another thing: if you don't understand a word, like if you're doing your study tech and you don't understand a word in whatever the fuck you're supposed to read in this piece of shit religion, right? Then you're supposed to not skip over the word. You look it up in a dictionary, right? You know what they call that?
Dictionary tech.
Word clearing.
Word clearing. Looking up a word in the dictionary is word clearing.
Oh, I want to fucking kill everybody.
I feel like I can speak Scientologies.
Scientology.
Because it'd be like, me have word cleared.
Dude, it's so fucking
Did you find any samples of like people talking Scientologies?
No.
Because I'm going to look that up very, very soon. Because it sounds to me like stupid, dumb fuck talk.
It really is. So you may be asking yourself, well, what are they learning? I don't fucking know. I'm really not sure. But I know that
stupid secret bullshit.
I know what they aren't looking or what they aren't learning because, like I said, it's a guarded secret. The whole fucking shit is like a guarded secret from anyone who isn't like way up high in their little system. So you get like this much, like as if they're not going to use that against you in some form, right? So they give you like this much when you're the bottom tier, and then if you get to the next tier, then you get a little more. And then
that's just how the Freemasons work, like or towards the end of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, it was like fractaled like that. You had a little bit of information to start, and then but eventually you'll get the arcane knowledge of how to fuck a demon or something.
What they're not learning is that 75 million years ago, there was a galactic confederacy of 76 planets that were ruled by an alien named Xenu. And that due to overcrowding in this galactic confederacy, Xenu had to bring millions and millions of aliens to Earth, right? And then drop them off and then fucking drop a hydrogen bomb on them to kill them.
Overcrowding where?
In the Confederacy.
Which was that on planets or was that?
That was a galactic confederacy that was run by Xenu.
In space?
In the space.
They overcrowding in space?
Yes.
Too many aliens.
The 76 planets that were part of this galactic confederacy overcrowded, right?
Hold on a second.
Xenu's got to do something about it.
There was in the Confederacy, I remember this.
Please help us, Xenu. You're our only hope.
There's Tatooine. There was Hoth. Endor, the forest moon of Endor. There's Dantooine. Had Naboo. It had the Dagobah system.
The whole system. How many planets are in there?
Yoda, Dagobah system.
Right.
Then also R2D2.
The distant moon of R2D2.
Coruscant.
So, yes. Like I said, overcrowded on these planets. Xenu says, all right, we got to bring all these millions and millions of aliens to Earth, right? And then drop some hydrogen bombs on them.
Blow them to fuck.
Fucking kill them, right? So,
fucking huh?
So, but wait, that's not enough. So when their little souls were just roaming around, right? They're just roaming free after they were killed.
Those planets haunted.
They were little alien souls.
Now that the Earth is haunted.
Right. So Xenu had to put some implants into their souls so that any person that the soul inhabits will die if they remember the event that killed them.
So everyone's got an alien ghost?
Apparently, because they believe in like reincarnation. So nobody, when you die, you don't die. They say something like, I don't know, you shed your fucking unit or some dumb shit.
That's the term they have for yorking it. Shedding your unit.
I can't remember the exact term, but it's something fucking stupid.
Shedding your unit. That's good.
It's not shedding your unit.
Skin that unit.
You want me to find it? I'll find it.
No, I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Scientology's stupid.
It so is. Oh my God. Jesus
But
Christ.
like, it's also, you know what my big gripe is with Scientology? Do you remember the actor Barry Pepper?
I know the name.
Barry Pepper. He was. You've seen Saving Private Ryan, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. You know the sniper, the badass sniper that could fucking shoot through like the other guy's spyglass shit. Cool actor, big star for a while. He popped up in a few things here or there. He's in some stuff.
I can see his face.
Yeah, he's a skinny guy, gaunt.
Kind of like a ratty face.
Yeah. Really fucking cool actor in a bunch of cool shit. And I will never forget when Battlefield Earth with John Travolta came out.
Bad movie.
And Barry Pepper was like the human protagonist.
Was he really?
And I remember being like 9 or 10 when that came out.
Okay.
I think maybe 12.
I don't
And
know.
I saw Barry Pepper in the trailer. In my head, I said his career's fucking over, and it was. That was, and I'll never forget that. I'll be like, Scientology ruined Barry Pepper's career.
God awful movie.
It's the worst movie of all
It
time.
really
It's
is.
so bad. Anyway,
Is
that's,
Barry Pepper is he a Scientologist?
I don't think so. I think he just took a role in a movie.
Because Travolta is, right?
Travolta is, yeah. But
Yeah.
then Forrest Whitaker was like the other alien, and he's
He's
not.
definitely not.
Yeah.
I feel like who would do that movie if you're not a
I mean,
Scientologist?
it was a big budget sci-fi action
Yeah,
thriller.
It was a piece of shit. Is
It was a
what
piece
it
of
was.
shit. But like that was the thing. The budget was fucking insane because Scientology's got so much money.
What's even funnier is that they spent all that money for an absolute turd
It
of a movie.
won like the Razzies that year and shit. Like one of it was regarded as one of the most embarrassing movies ever made.
It's
And Barry Pepper was just like
total turd.
if you ever see him in that movie, a lot of it is just like a weird drone camera of him running through fields. That's most of what he
God
did.
almighty.
So when it came out and he saw this, he's like, what the fuck is this movie? And then everyone was like, sorry, we can't hire you.
Well, so again, everything that I just said about Xenu and the hydrogen bombs and then the implants in their souls.
Forrest Whitaker somehow came out fine. I don't know how.
I don't know. Because Ghost Dog.
Ghost Dog rules.
So all that shit is only known, like I mentioned before, because it had to be made public for a court case, and then it was leaked onto the internet. Like WikiLeaks latched onto it. So the Church of Scientology maintains that they keep this info secret because the knowledge of it could be damaging to those who aren't sufficiently prepared to learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make sure you prepare them correctly.
And they gotta pay. They gotta pay.
Yeah, they got to pay, baby. So, like, oh my God. At this point, I was going to go into the whole Thetan thing and e-readers and auditing and the whole clear and pre-clear nonsense.
Thetans are the midi-chlorians of Scientology.
Thetans are the souls.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the Thetans are the souls of the hydrogen bombed aliens that have this trauma of being hydrogen bombed by Xenu.
Thetan my meetin.
So I was gonna go into I was gonna go into the Sea Org thing. That's a
No.
whole other fucking thing. But I want to get to the part that everybody's waiting for. What's the fucking paywall on this bad boy? Right? What's it gonna take to get me Scientologized?
I want in. What's the
Yeah. So to do Scientology's Bridge to Total
You gotta
Freedom,
make the cover of Teen People.
the Bridge to Total Freedom, which I guess is like your standard, I'm all thetaned up and my reactive mind is my bitch package, costs around $560,000.
Holy shit. And that's just to become a member of the church?
That's just to get through like that first part, right?
God damn.
Not only that, so like you can't move forward to the next step. So this is like the Bridge to Total Freedom is like a step-by-step program, right?
Bridge to Terabithia. Okay, but like at a certain point, when do the savings come down to you?
I guess when you become the next David Miscavige and run the church.
You got to get 5 friends together that can also sell the beauty
The
products
juice.
and eventually get the pink Cadillac.
Yeah. It's made of Amazon berries. It's good for you.
My wife's gonna fucking hate that I'm telling this story, but when we first got together, she was quite young. Actually, I was a little older than her, and she got a job working.
Dog.
Yeah, I mean, well, I thought she was older because I met her at a bar. Let's not get into the story.
Woof. This is getting
We've been married
worse
for
by
like
the
a
second.
fucking decade. So, she was kind of.
And she's only 23.
That is not true. Okay, it's not at all true. But like she was kind of like dumb, I guess you could say, because she was like just kind of young, and she took on a job working for Arbonne, the beauty product company. You know,
I'm not familiar.
It's a pyramid scheme. So she got it. It's like Avon.
Sounds like one.
But it was absolutely like she met a fucking area leader at the top of the pyramid that was driving a pink Cadillac and shit. It's like, yeah, I got this after only a year of working for this company.
God.
And so she's like talking friends into doing this shit. We're like, oh, I've got that Arbonne glow. And she was all about it. All about it until like it just quietly tapered off after a few months. And I was like, hey babe, what's what happened to your pyramid scheme? And she's like, turned out to be a pyramid scheme. Like, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I told
crazy.
you. Oh,
So
you live and learn.
So this is not necessarily a pyramid scheme, but like I said, that bridge to total freedom is like a step-by-step process, right? You can't move forward to the next step without being audited. And it's the auditing that costs you money, right? So let's say you get audited, which, by the way, costs $800 an hour.
God damn.
Yeah. And you don't pass your audit, you've got to go back to the drawing board on that step of the program, whatever it might be. And then when you're ready again, you get audited again. Like once you think you're ready to be cleared to go to the next step.
$800 an hour.
Yeah.
It is the promise here like an arcane knowledge of some kind?
I mean, it's all about Xenu, baby.
But like, what do you get to fuck Xenu? Do you get to meet an alien or perhaps like get with the
I don't
Galactic
know what
Senate?
the final step. So like whatever the OT, which is like something thetan, which is like the maximum.
It's the OT, the original
OG,
thetan.
the OT, whatever the O stands for. I can't fucking remember, but there's like 15 levels of it, right? 1 through 15. So OT 15 being the top, as high as you can go in the organization. Apparently, L. Ron Hubbard never got past OT 8.
What?
So OT 8 is the highest that anybody's
Didn't
ever
the
gone.
fucking ghost speak through him or some shit?
That's what
Was
they
he
would
the
have you believe.
chosen thetan?
Effectively,
What is
yeah.
any of this shit? It's dumb
Stupid.
as fuck.
Stupid,
I mean, it's no
stupid.
dumber than anything else, but it's still fucking dumb.
This preys on people, I feel like. Everything that I've seen about Scientology, it really just preys on people.
Yeah, and you're right. They did colonize like half the world and like execute a bunch of the natives on every coast they found.
Yeah, I know. Again, you got to make some concessions
Yeah,
for
you can't
things
forget-
being ubiquitous
Can't
for my
forget the
entire life.
Scientologist Inquisition. That was a big deal. A lot of torturing going on.
all the Scientology holy wars in the
Did we just talk
whatever,
about how
not the Middle East?
Did
the
we just
left
talk
or the
about
right
how
east? I don't know.
Scientology had a whole scheme to take over Japan and they like upset a bunch of stuff? Also enslaved like all of Africa.
I know. But fuck them. They haven't because they can't.
They have any blood rituals?
They haven't because they can't. If they could, believe me, they
Can you
if
drink L. Ron Hubbard's blood?
I don't know, maybe. I'm not in the church, so I have no. By the way, this might get us to a process where we're fair game. So if we walk out of our house and any of us have somebody
Man, I kind
standing
of
there with a camcorder.
honestly, I kind of want that.
I live in Florida. I'll just fucking shoot somebody.
Yeah, let's fucking go. I have nothing to lose. And if you think I'm one of those people who says that and they're like, oh no, we can find something to take away. No.
I have never been more happy about not giving out my last name on this show.
Oh, they'll find you.
Professor
They'll find
Drew,
you.
Professor Drew Berkowitz, everyone.
They'll find you through us. Drew Berkowitz.
Yeah, suck my dick, Scientology.
Yeah, for real.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
So this was a fun sentence for me that I had to just copy and paste. Yeah, okay. Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That was good. That
Ray
was
Parker Jr., ladies and gentlemen.
good. I love this town.
So this was a fun sentence, right? I just copied and pasted it because this whole fucking sentence sounds like this is a religion for fucking accountants, right?
Right.
This was from
Verily, they said unto
no, this
accountants
is from
representative.
their Wikipedia, right? The organization operates on a hierarchical and top-down basis, being largely bureaucratic in structure.
Top down, like they're just boobs out.
Being largely bureaucratic in structure, it claims to be the only true voice of Scientology. The internal structure of Scientology organizations is strongly bureaucratic with a focus on statistics-based management. Organizational operating budgets are performance-related and subject to frequent reviews. Does that not sound like just
Boring.
no shit?
Snoozeville. God damn.
So you've got this top-down management that's frequently micromanagey, right? Where you have to pay an arm and a leg to reach the next level of this ridiculous made-up program. And you've got all these audits and reviews and stuff. And the whole purpose of this religion is to make money. Per fucking Lafayette's words. You ready for this shit? This this is what he said in all uppercase, right? He fucking, let's see, did he write this? Yeah, I think he wrote this. This was like part of their governing financial policy. And he wrote this in all uppercase letters. Make sure that lots of bodies move through the shop. A, make money. J, make money.
Good.
K, make more money. L, make other people produce so as to make money. However you get them in, or Y, just do it. That is per L. Ron Hubbard for his governing financial policy.
I mean, very astute policy.
I mean,
if he's trying to make some money, he was very clear. A, make
made
money.
Sure everybody knew.
J, he just jump straight to J. It's like Alec Baldwin and Glengarry Glen Ross. He's just like, always be making money. A to J. That's a good move, dude. I'm impressed, honestly. That I could fucking smell the cigar in his mouth while he's
Jesus Christ.
A, make money. J, make money.
Well, so here's another fucking strange and just I don't think it's coincidence. It just is what it is. You know, it's just another fucking way of them to make money. So the two bases of Scientology, right? There's one in California and there's one here in Clearwater, Florida. By the way, downtown Clearwater, Florida is supposed to be weird now that Scientology's fully like taken over that
Do
shit.
they all wear like white outfits, walk around holding hands?
No, I think there's just not really anybody there. It's just all these big fucking Scientology buildings and like nobody. We can do a field trip. I'd be down.
I'd go to Clearwater and see what's going on with Scientology.
Yeah.
Might get us fair gamed, but you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Drew, you coming?
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
My man.
You can wear a mask. Yep.
Wear a sash that says Xenu and an alien mask.
Listen here, Scientology. We think you're stupider than fucking.
Yeah,
We're
no
coming
shit.
for your fucking ass.
So you can start a Scientology mission, right? It's got a fuck ton of missions all over the world, right? Europe is, I mean, the largest number in the US, the second largest is Europe, right? But so you can become a missionary, right? You would be referred to as not a missionary because you need your own special fucking stupid ass Scientology
As an
word.
adventure recruit,
A mission holder.
mission holder.
A mission holder.
Hold my mission.
Yeah, no shit, right? So you can wherever you want, you can set up a Scientology mission, but you have to fund it yourself.
Oh, may I?
And yeah, the central Scientology is not going to financially support you.
You know what? I'm a
right?
part of a group. I'm a part of a group like that. I'm a part of a group where if you fund it yourself, you can start a new branch of the organization and affiliate it with the
Is
others.
it Delete Everything podcast?
No, no one can do that but us, Brian. No, historical European martial arts, sword fighting. Okay, it's fun as shit. Right?
He's really
doesn't
been on the sword
brainwash
fighting.
you, and you get to sword fight. So I think it's superior to this dickhole fucking organization.
So in order to start this mission, though,
Expensive though.
you have to buy everything from the Church of Scientology.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, your mission starter pack, which is called a mission starter pack.
Do you get a jetpack with
Shit,
that?
you're
A
not.
fucking cool helmet? You get a machete?
In 2001, a mission starter pack cost you $35,000, which would be equivalent to like $65K today
Jesus Christ.
to get a mission starter pack. But I said that we were
In
going to
my
get
day, all you needed was a hatchet.
I said we were going to get into some of the controversies, and I'd like to do that, right? For starters, do you know this whole thing about the president of Scientology? David Miscavige?
Yeah,
Musky Cabbage?
formerly known as Dave Mustaine. Yeah,
Hmm?
David Mustaine.
Was that his name before?
He's the lead guitar player of Megadeth.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, David Miscavige.
David Mustache,
He was a young, little wet behind the ears
dickhead, fucking piece
prick
of shit.
in Scientology before when Lafayette.
Oh, I can't wait to meet Xenon.
Xenon. When Lafayette Ronald died, he was like Lafayette Ronald's little protege. So he's run Scientology since Lafayette died.
You might even say he's Ron Scientology.
He's Ron. He's L. Ron it.
He's L running it.
Mm-hmm. His wife has been missing Have you seen that? You haven't seen this?
Have I seen his wife? Not in a while.
Where's
you
Shelly,
do know.
David? Where's
Yeah,
Shelly?
you do know. You do know.
You know this one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Are you quoting John Oliver?
No, that's just like a common sentiment in Scientology criticism is
Yeah.
where the
so,
fuck is Shelly Miscavige?
Yeah, so she's been missing. So for starters, we have to talk about the whole, right?
Okay.
Scientology has this whole, what's the word I'm looking for? A big piece of land. It's got this whole like ranch out in the middle of nowhere.
Preserve
compound.
compound.
Yeah, there you go. It's a compound in Riverside County, California. They have they call it the hole. It's a detention building that they send like bad Scientologists to.
Oh, they've got a correction camp, like a
and
re-education
multiple
facility,
people have like gone there and not shown back up.
including Shelly Miscavige.
Maybe. Well, here's the thing about
She was like, Dave, I don't want to clean the house anymore. And he
Here's
goes, you
the
know what? You're
thing
going to
about-
fucking
yeah, right.
Scientology ranch.
She was last seen in public in August of 2007. So we're talking about almost 20 years
Uh-huh.
ago, right? She was seen for the funeral of her father. Her father had died, and she was seen publicly at her father's funeral. That was the last time she was seen publicly. She has not been reported missing. She has not, well, she was reported missing, and then the police had a phone conversation with her, and they were like, well, she's not missing. We just talked to her.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
She has not been seen publicly. She has not been heard from publicly. She has not been reported dead.
She's just gone.
She just,
Where's Shelly, David?
that's Drew's line. So that's a big.
I don't want any lines. I'm going to edit that out. I'm not here again.
So that's a biggie. I mean, that's obviously a huge controversy.
They got Biggie too?
No, just Tupac.
You bastards.
So another big one is this whole like idea of fair game and suppressive persons, right? So if you speak out against Scientology, you are a suppressive. Right now, we are being suppressive people. Right?
Cool. I've always wanted to join a weird group.
SPs. They call them SPs.
SPs.
Yeah, or
social pariahs. Super penises. Sao Paulos.
So L. Ron Hubbard would call these people with
Sabrina
antisocial
Parpenders.
people with antisocial personalities that speak out against our church, right?
Yeah.
And so these people are to, like, anything you might do to try and discredit the Church of Scientology makes you a suppressive person, which then opens you up to fair game, which, as I said, is this sort of practice where they do everything just inside the bounds of the law to fuck with people.
People in suits standing off under the trees
Yeah,
down the street
yeah,
looking at you.
yeah.
Like
And then, by
X-Files
the way,
shit.
so like back to your whole Leah Remini, Remini.
Yeah.
I think it's Remini.
Remini. Anyway, back to the whole thing with her parents and stuff. Like, if you are in Scientology and you have anybody who's close to you who's not in Scientology, you have to, and this is again their term, disconnect.
Yeah.
You fucking don't talk to him anymore.
Yeah, you had to do that with the Manson family too.
Yeah. Weird.
That's fucked.
Weird how there's like these rules for cults.
Yeah. It's like, you believe this dumb shit that your parents don't believe? Can't talk to them anymore.
Yeah, right? Jesus Christ.
I mean, to be fair, I guess the parents would probably say the same thing about stupid bullshit Scientology.
yeah.
Be like, hey, don't talk to them anymore.
Probably, but that seems like more out of concern than control.
I gotta say, my skeptical nature has often left me a little like bereft, looking at the formless void of my own mortality.
Do you wish that you believed in Scientology?
No,
Do you want to
no,
meet
that's
Xenu?
like that's what I was about to say. I like there have been times where I'm like, man, I wish there was like something I could believe in that respect, and I really delved. And I've done the hallucinogens and the transcendental shit and the thought and all that, but you know what has never happened? Is I've never been swindled by a fucking cult. Because I think that's dumb.
It is. It is.
And I think that to be swindled by a cult, you kind of have to be stupid.
I saw a video recently. I don't know how legit it was, but where someone asked fucking AI if it could join a religion, what religion would it join? And it looked at all the major religions and a lot of the smaller, more, in the periphery ones. And it came up with sort of some real Buddhist light it was like aspects of this and aspects of this, with sort of this Buddhist lean to it. And then she said, well, based on what you've seen, what religion would you find the least appealing to join? And it basically kicked back anything, it kicked back fundamental Christian, fundamental Muslim, fundamental, Judaism, all of these religions that exercise really tight control through these arbitrary rules and allow the least amount of sort of being able to think for yourself and being able to celebrate what you believe for yourself.
I'm not into that shit.
Which is, I mean, sort of a concise way of saying, yeah, that's crazy.
As Groucho Marx once famously said, I would never join any club that would have me as a member.
Well, I think that's probably should cut it, huh?
Yeah, what's our what do we come out with? Is there a god?
Still on the fence, guys.
Save the planet, kill yourself. Thank you for
tuning in.
in.
Xenu. He's out there, guys.
Xenu's
out there.
Save a queer fetus, eat
Jesus.
That's it.
Every Sunday at Mass, during the catechism.
Wow, they really could have flipped that right on its head.
They could have. Any Christian could have just
so stuck in their ways,
way.
They can't be a little snide and clever. Come on.
You got to just scream about it.
Jesus Christ.
If you guys enjoyed this episode,
what's wrong with you?
If you guys enjoyed this episode, there's a really easy way to let us know, and that is get on whatever you're listening to. Give us a review, give us a rating, leave a comment, whatever your sort of podcast platform allows you.
If you're with the Church of Scientology, send us a threatening email.
Yeah. Send us a guy with a camcorder in front of our house.
If you're with the Church of Euthanasia, I mean, yeah, you can reach out. It's fine. Not a big fan of what you guys do,
don't
honestly.
Send me JO videos, please. I don't want that. I don't need any of that.
Respect, but keep your distance, please.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
All the people listening to this, you don't have to like it. Just don't talk to us about it if you don't. If you do, though, those are the ways to tell us that you do. If you have a podcast topic or something you think we haven't listened or thought about and you haven't heard yet, you can send us a message, deleteeverythingpodcast@gmail.com. You don't have to it doesn't just have to be podcast stuff. It can just be whatever you want to say to us. That's a cool way to get in touch with us, and we'll say something back.
I'd prefer it was podcast stuff, honestly.
You don't check the email anyway, so what the fuck do you care?
Yeah, it's linked to my phone.
So, and then, we've talked about our Patreon. We've talked about our Instagram, YouTube. Our YouTube is new, so we're going to be putting more stuff up there. Right now, I think there's a couple of short videos, and there's for sure all of our episodes are there. No videos attached to those yet. We're talking about maybe going through and putting some...
I was thinking we might throw up the video to I Like to Watch by the Church of Euthanasia.
I'm not doing that. That's going to get us flagged
you got
immediately.
An active video of a man masturbating to footage of the World Trade Center collapse.
God almighty. No, we're not doing that.
It's on their website. We're not doing that.
Yeah, you can go to their website.
It's easy to find.
You really want to do that. Jesus. All right. Well, hey, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Eat my leg and bang my dead body.